Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto fused with Madara power. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Rifat and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. 2 days after the defeat of Pain, behind the Hokage mountain, Konoha no Sato, Naruto verse 2. Is this it, Kakashi-sensei? The question was asked by a sun-kissed blonde-haired boy of age 16. He had cerulean blue eyes and a set of 3 whisker marks on each cheek. He had lightly tanned skin and there were little to no trace amounts of baby fat on his face. 2 months ago, one could have said he had a rather goofish look compared to most ninja. However, the training with the toads of Enti Mayaboku had taken a great and fruitful stress on his body, as he had toned it up to the proper shape, and quite a fangirl-inducing one, as well. This teen is none other than Naruto Uzumaki, son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze. A shift in time had occurred in this universe. He had learned about his father 2 days ago, while he was in the tailed beast berserker mode *. He had all but lost his sanity, and the great Kyuubi no Kitsune would have escaped if it wasn't for the genius integrity of the 4th Hokage, who not only placed a residue amount of chakra in case the seal weakened, but also he had placed a seal that transferred all of the Yondame's knowledge of pretty much everything he knew and had learned throughout his life, including his prized jutsu that had earned him the threat of the SS rank, Flea on Sight status. Naruto had used it to a little extent, as he had regained control from the beast that embodied hatred and fought off the last of the 6 paths of pain. He then convinced the real Pain to give up on revenge, and Nagato had brought back all those he had killed in the leaf as his final act of redemption. He later told his sensei, who was the former student of the Yondame, about his heritage and accompanied him here. Now he is standing near the house of his once alive parents. It was a moderately 2-storied house. He could tell that there were seals around the place, as he knew from his father's transferred knowledge, and the fact that he had been the only who had entered the compound. His sensei and Jounin leader, Kakashi Hatake the copy ninja, could not enter. Yes, Naruto, he said with his signature eye smile. This is indeed your parents' house. So what will you do now? Well, the masked man is still out there, Naruto said as a hateful and raging look appeared on his face at the mention of the man who had orphaned him. I need to learn everything Tsunade and Kachan left behind if I am going to get stronger. From what I learned from Tsunade, as he gave me nearly all his knowledge and specific memories, that guy can turn intangible and basically pull anything into his eye. It's even better than the Hiruzen/Flying Thunder God in some aspects. But hopefully, I'll be able to take it up a notch since I know how it works. Sensei left you quite a gift, didn't he, Naruto? Kakashi asked as Naruto gave his signature foxy grin and nodded. Kakashi then had a solemn look on his face. But I have to apologize, Naruto. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you who your parents were. It's alright, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto replied quite cheerfully. Kakashi often wondered how this boy remained cheerful despite all the shit that was thrown his way during his childhood. He only became acknowledged 2 days ago by the village as the worthy shinobi he is. I think I understand it a bit. Tsunade had many enemies, so it was only natural that they would come after the Kiroi Senko's son. Kachan was a former ANBU as well who had quite a bounty on her, so I guess I can understand why I wasn't told. You truly are one of a kind, you know that, Naruto? Kakashi said as he looked proudly at his student. The loud-mouthed, neon orange-wearing Jounin who was later made Chunin after he returned was now a sage, a level so powerful that only a handful of people in the world had achieved. The legendary Rikudo Sannin, Hashirama Senju, Jiraiya the Toad Sage and Minato Namikaze. Well, I guess I'll see you later, Naruto. Ja-eni, Kakashi said as he shined away in a flicker of leaves. Naruto then entered his house and saw the great amount of dust it had collected in the last 16 years. This was his room. Thankfully, due to his father's knowledge, he pretty much knew how this place was. After a storm of clones had cleaned the entire place out, he explored his house. He found his parents' room. The journals they made. Their little notes on their secret marriage, that only a handful of people knew. The baby room they had made for him, and of course the various pictures of his parents. Naruto was a bit weirded out by the fact that he thought his mother was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. He only prayed that he got a girl like this in his life. Her greatest feature to him was undoubtedly her long, flowing red hair that he found entrancing. After shoving off such thoughts, he started to see all the jutsu his parents had kept. He took out the advanced chakra detection paper and channeled his chakra through it. This was made specifically by the toads of their sacred land to find out how many affinities the person is capable of, whereas normal chakra paper only shows the dominant chakra, natures. The paper split into 3 parts. One of them completely shredded into wind, the other turned dripping wet, and the final piece of paper wrinkled up into a ball. From what he received, his mother had wind and water nature. His father, on the other hand, had lightning and wind. So he had inherited all 3 chakra natures. He then scouted the house and finally found the scrolls he was looking for. The entire sealing volumes of Uzushiogakure, ninjutsu and taijutsu scrolls, and finally the specially crafted tri-pronged kunai that his father was famous for. Kage Bunshin, don't fail me now, Naruto muttered as he summoned more than 100 clones. We've got a lot of work to do. Hi Oyabun. The clones replied, and each 25 of them took the Fuinjutsu scrolls and Taijutsu ones, while 50 of them took the ninjutsu ones. Time skip. 25 days after post 5 Kage-sama arc, after Great Elder Sage had told Naruto about meeting a certain octopus who would help him, Hokage's temp office. Yo Ba-chan. Naruto said as he normally greeted the Godame Hokage Tsunade Senju, the strongest woman on the planet. Glad to see you're up and about, said woman who undoubtedly was blessed with the greatest assets a woman could have, raised an eyebrow at his appearance. Naruto had changed his clothing to a great degree after he realized it was time to move on from the greatness of orange to a bit more subtle shade. He now wore a dark gray full-sleeve shirt, dark blue pants, and the bright green Chunin jacket. His hair was now even more untamed as he had thinned out and muscled out properly due to the rapid spam of shadow clones and his body-breaking, muscle-tearing, nerve-numbing training methods. Needless to say, his recently founded fan club had increased by leaps and bounds. Naruto Uzumaki had learned the true horror about fangirls. Even now you call me that brat, Tsunade said as she looked at him. Alright brat, I don't feel like wasting time, so I'm going to cut straight to the point. One, take off that Chunin jacket and take this. From now on you're officially a Jounin, Tsunade said as she pointed at darker, olive green standard Jounin flak jacket on her desk in her new and temporary office. Naruto beamed up in excitement, and took off his old Chunin jacket and sealed it into his arm. Tsunade was a bit surprised. 2 months ago he wasn't that good at Fuinjutsu, now he did it seamlessly. She smiled at his progress. Yada, Naruto said as he put on Jounin jacket. So you're gonna give me the hat now, Ba-chan? Naruto asked with wide eyes as Tsunade's eyebrow twitched in annoyance. Not in a decade, she said as Naruto dropped down in disappointment, as dark clouds hung over his head. She remembered her grandfather doing this as well. He called it his comfort zone after Mito Oba-chan used to give him quite a lashing. Anyways, I have a SS-ranked mission for you, Naruto. As if on cue, Naruto beamed up more and Tsunade had to sweat drop at his near bipolar behavior. What is it, Ba-chan? Naruto asked with vigor. Tell me, Urasai. She yelled before throwing a pen which struck him and a bump appeared on his head. You're going to go on a training trip along with the team, to an island where you'll hopefully be able to master the Kyuubi's power. Kyuubi's power? Sorry Ba-chan, but I just finished fixing my training routine with Pa. They even set up everything there. You know that time travels relatively slower there, and with my shadow clones I get years of experience. Naruto said, trying to make a valid point, which he did surprisingly. Besides, who's going to train me? And how long will it take me to get there? The trip itself will take a month and a half. Then you'll start to train there to master the fox's power, Tsunade said as Naruto groaned at the statement. I could easily get years of training in that time. Besides, I am so close to making new forms of the Rasengan and taking the Hiraishin to new level. I can even throw the Rasen Shuriken without Sage Mode now, Naruto said as he grumbled like a child. Besides, who could be a better teacher than the Toads? That would be a Jinchuriki who has mastered the power of his Bijou. Naruto raised an eyebrow at Tsunade's words. Hook, line and sinker. Naruto was now officially interested. This would also be a good way to keep him out of the war that was about to be waged for him and the Eight Tails. Killer be the brother of the Reikage and the Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails, Naruto said as Tsunade looked at him curiously. Killer B's Bijou has an octopus tentacle from what I learned from the few memories Tsusan left. He's gotta be the one Super Geezer Sage was talking about. All the more reason for you to go there, brat. Alright, what's with that expression on your face? Tsunade asked as she looked the grumpy look on his face. It's just a month and a half to get there. I mean, I could train to get better in that time. If only there was some way to get there in a moment's notice from Enti Maiboku, Naruto thought as Tsunade merely stared at the sheer density of his mind. He did have something like that. Then a few moments later, the metaphorical bulb lit up. I know, Naruto said as he took out one of his tri-pronged kunai. Give this to the team that will go with me and tell them to launch the kunai when they're there. I'll be going to get some ramen before I leave today to get back to the Toads. Seriously, brat, Tsunade said. What am I going to do with you? Oh, and by the way, did you decide on what to tell Hinata? No, not really. I just don't like her like that, Naruto said with a sad sigh. In fact, if I was older I'd probably date someone as beautiful as you, Naruto said as he had his hands in his pockets and was idly looking at the ground as he kicked invisible dust, while Tsunade blushed a bit at the words the blonde had said before her. Damn that gawky, Tsunade thought as she finally fought down the blush. It had been a long time since someone had called her that, despite the fact that Jiraiya said it for years, but she didn't feel anything for him, just like Naruto didn't feel anything for Hinata. The thing with Sakura was also nothing more than a crush. In fact, Naruto wasn't interested in any girls of the village, though he did get interested when he heard about the Mizukage. That confirmed he was straight, unlike the rumors she heard about something called Narusasu. She shivered at the thought of that, yet she liked it for some reason. Was it wrong for a woman to have sexual interests? Anyways, I'll be going to get some ramen. Haven't had that in nearly a week, Naruto said as he disappeared in a yellow flash. That brat, Tsunade said as she poured some sake. If you were older, huh? Stupid Gaki, and his mouth doesn't even realize the sort of things he says at times. Tsunade laughed a bit as she poured some sake for herself. In her mind she played out a scenario of what would happen if she did end up with the blonde Gaki. Of course, he'd have to be significantly older, and she'd of course have to be younger. Would she be with someone like that? Who knows what the legendary sucker thinks in her mind. Time skip. A month and a half later, Mindscape. After absorbing the Kyuubi's power and accessing Nine Tails Chakra Mode, Secret Room, the Temple, Genbu Island. So, Kushina sits slyly as Naruto knew what exactly she was about to say. Heard you had a crush on your Ka-chan? She giggled a bit at his despair. Yamura Ka-chan. Naruto grumbled out as he had embarrassing stains of red on his cheeks. Besides, it's not my fault you're that beautiful with your violet eyes, red hair and that face. I mean, anyone would be an idiot to not have a crush on you, Databeo, Naruto said as he accusingly pointed a finger at his mother, who first blushed but tried to play it off by laughing at his misery once more. Actually, he is cuter than Minato was at that age with the whisker marks. Come to think of it, he even has a better body. Bad Kushina. That's your Sochi, Kushina thought inside her mind. It's alright, Sochi. Who knows, maybe one day you'll find a girl like me, Databane. Yeah, Naruto replied vigorously. Say, Ka-chan, how much time do you have left? Not much, Kushina replied sadly. She then looked at her son, knowing that she only had a few select words left to say, and not going to write about the whole Kushina saying goodbye to Naruto. The words literally stab my heart every time I remember those words, so gonna skip him and go all the way to the war. Time skip. 5 days after Naruto had mastered the Kyuubi's chakra, Kaminari no Kuni / Land of Lightning, battleground of the Fourth Great Ninja War. No, Kakashi, stop. An imperfect resurrected Minato said as he prepared to flash to his student. Kakashi had emerged from the Kamui dimension and had his signature technique, the Raikiri / Lightning Cutter, ready in his right arm. Naruto and Sasuke had managed to defeat Obito, who had become the imperfect Jinchuriki of the Jubi. After defeating him, Naruto was able to pull out all the tailed beasts out of him, as they had given him a fair amount of their own chakra when they had entered the shared mindscape. The Edo Tensei version of the real Madara Uchiha was battling the Edo Tensei Hashirama Senju, and was finally winning as he stabbed him with the chakra disruption rods and was absorbing his sage jutsu. Madara had signaled Black Zetsu to take over his body, but Naruto had gotten there in the meantime to kill Black Zetsu, who in his dying moments revealed that his real plan was to bring back Kage Otsutsuki, the mother of the Sage of Six Paths. Naruto was glad that he had managed to flash to Zetsu and kill him, thus making sure that not only does Kage not come back but also that he couldn't possess Obito's body to use Rinne Rebirth. Then another shift in time occurred. Squelch. Kakashi's famed lightning blade had pierced the frame of Obito. More precisely, he had stabbed Obito right in the chest as blood flew everywhere. Kakashi Hatake had killed his other teammate. The former teammate, which had taught him a lesson to not abandon your comrades, had lost his mind to insanity. It was up to Kakashi to end this feud, and he did just that. He could live with the burden and the shame. He had been doing that for nearly more than half his life. Minato appeared a bit too late. Kakashi knelt beside his friend, who took his last breaths. Bibakashi, Obito said with a sad laugh as Kakashi looked at him, remembering the nickname Obito had given to him during the time of their rivalry. Looks like I finally get to meet Rin. Sorry if I cause you. Obito did not get to finish as his final breaths left his body. Obito Uchiha had died. Naruto Uzumaki was sadly looking at him. In his final moments he had realized that Obito had regrets, but a part of him didn't stop Kakashi. Obito had this coming to him. Minato and Kakashi solemnly looked at the former member of their four-man shinobi cell. Then a great push of furious anger came. Madara Uchiha was trying to kill them with his glare. Why you? Madara yelled out. You ruined everything. Madara yelled out like a madman as his dark chakra flared everywhere. As an Edo Tensei he had an unlimited amount of chakra. It kept replenishing even if great injury was caused to him, though the process would be a bit slow if the damage to his ever-reforming body was too great to handle at times. He put out his hand as a black sphere formed in it, and rushed up to the sky. Chibaku Tensei / Planetary Devastation. Madara yelled as the great pull of gravity started its work and everything was rushing upwards. No one would live anymore. All his plans had been ruined. He could not come back to life anymore. Even though he learned that Zetsu had planned to betray him, he could have somehow changed to the situation to benefit himself. Naruto then used the last of his largely depleted chakra to throw two jutsu at it. Futon, Raisin Shuriken / Wind style, Spiraling Shuriken, and Suiton, Raisin Hanryu / Water style, Spiraling Ripping Torrent. The two attacks had been pulled in by the inescapable pull of the planetoid-forming jutsu, and hit it right at the center. Needless to say, the two combined S-rank jutsu had destroyed the core of planetary devastation, and now the earth fell just as Naruto fell to his knees. He still had one more problem to take care of. Madara was the last obstacle, the last true hurdle before he could bring the peace that Jiraiya had been searching for so long. He saw that Madara was looking at him furiously and was going to kill him. Naruto didn't have much chakra left, and if he did use the last of it he'd end up dying of exhaustion. He could use that jutsu he had been working on, but he needed a large amount of chakra for it. All the members of the allied shinobi force stood up in unison as they wouldn't let Madara reach their de facto leader. However, the true blow came when Sasuke all of a sudden stabbed Naruto with his Jukuto. Naruto was bleeding and badly. Everyone simply stared in shock at the betrayal. Sasuke explained that his goal was to kill the 5 Kage from the beginning to stage a revolution. That was his ideal of becoming the Hokage. Naruto Uzumaki had gotten much stronger than Sasuke, and he himself had admitted that. Not a moment later, Sasuke's head fell from his shoulders, who couldn't react in time to Tobirama and Minato, who had used their Hiraishin to teleport to Naruto to kill Sasuke. The Uchiha traitor was finally dead. The world had been officially rid of any and all living Uchiha. One of the 2 legacies left behind by the Sage of 6 Paths had been erased. In essence, the Uchiha curse of hatred had finally been extinguished. Naruto did not feel remorse for the team. He had shown to the very end that he did not care about anyone other than himself. Naruto, Minato said as Naruto's vision was fading. Hang in there. We're going to help you. Des alright Too-san. Naruto said weakly as he smiled. I guess this is it then. Naruto said, but a loud voice begged to differ. Like hell you are. Son Goku the Yambi yelled out. Naruto's head was turned around lightly by his reanimated father, whose tears were falling on the visage of his nearly dying son. You think we're just going to let you die like that fish cake? You freed us. Saving you is the least we can do. Here, take our chakra kid. This will put your body in pain, but your wound will heal in no time. You'll be able to fight him and put that Uchiha bastard down. Naruto didn't know to whom each voice belonged, but he knew that most of them were saying it. But he knew that the last one came from Kurama, though it sounded darker. The same fox he had befriended. He weakly nodded and smiled, before he spoke with a low voice. Shikaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Son Goku, Koko, Saiken, Chomei, Gyuki, Kurama arigato. Naruto said as he suddenly felt a great ripping warmth in his body. His body felt like it had been stabbed by 1,000 needles. But he also felt power surging through him. He stood up and saw that his chakra had returned with a vengeance. He rushed at Madara without a single thought, and saw that the bastard was incapable of using the Kami like Obito, which Naruto was glad for, but saw that people just foamed from their mouths upon contact with his Manjikyu. Naruto guessed that he was capable of using Tsukuyomi. What made it worse was the fact that he could also use Enten/Inferno style like Sasuke, though that did not surprise Naruto as he remembered the ghost of the Uchiha unleashing a single jutsu that nearly decimated the entire battalion. Naruto knew that engaging Madara in a jutsu battle would be pointless, and was using his final trump card. He had seen that the chakra disruption blade had temporarily stuck into Hashirama despite the fact that he had been an Edo Tensei. Naruto was throwing his tri-pronged kunai, and soon enough he knew that a perfect square had been formed. He had made this technique specifically so that the masked bastard could not escape from the jutsu using his own Jukuken ninjutsu/space-time ninjutsu. Since Madara couldn't use it, Naruto took it as a plus point. But Obito was no Madara. That man had no equal save Hashirama, and Naruto had no choice but to make the ultimate sacrifice. Is this what Toussaint and Ka-chan felt like when they saved me? Naruto thought as his sage mode hand caught the chakra disruption blade. Is this what Hokage Gigi felt like when he tried to kill Hibiki knowing he was going to die? Naruto thought as he finally landed the decisive blow on Madara with a fist to his face. Is this what you felt when you saved me, Niji, knowing full well that you'll die? Naruto said as he stabbed Madara with his own black blade as the undead Uchiha screamed in pain. He couldn't even absorb the sage jutsu Naruto was using, as it was different from Hashirama's, whose one was purely dependent on yang release. So this is what it feels like to save someone other than yourself, Naruto thought with a smile, knowing that his end was here as well. This is it, Madara, Naruto said as he stabbed himself with the other end of the blade as he grabbed onto Madara in a hugging fashion. Madara himself was stunned at what Naruto was doing. Naruto had his arms wrapped around him and made the ram's seal. Hiraishin Kinjutsu. Jukuken Shometsu Boidu/Flying Thunder God Forbidden Technique. Space-time annihilation void, Naruto said with a smile. A very thin layer of black chakra erupted from the 4 Hiraishin kunai surrounding the 2 shinobi as a small wormhole emerged on top of them. Naruto grinned as he saw the void of absolute hopelessness he had conjured. He actually had to study to make this jutsu work, and studying was a far greater pain than anything else in the world, even the stab mark on his body that was yet to be fully healed. I didn't have any plans to die, but if it means that this world will survive and you will die, it's a price I'm willing to pay. What have you done? Madara said in horror as he felt his feet leaving the ground. Do you truly wish to die for his hellish planet? Simple, Madara. I ruptured a hole in time-space. Even I don't know where this goes. Given you're an Edo Tensei, you'll probably turn to dust, and given how I am dying from this wound and the excessive chakra that's burning my coils, I'll probably die and end up in space. You fool, Madara said. You've doomed us both, you brat. Maybe, but it's my decision to make. After all, I never go back on my word, Naruto said with a smile, and Madara had to smirk in his last moment at the guts of the kid before him. Madara grunted for one last time as they were both being pulled towards the wormhole. At least you follow through with your conviction. That's something I can respect even from a brat like you. Looks like Madara Uchiha does have a heart. Naruto chuckled out. They were rotating slowly as he saw his father and friends for one last time. Sorry everyone, looks like I couldn't become Hokage to Bayo. But don't worry. I had you guys so it more than makes up for it. I'll be seeing you and Ka-chan soon, too San, Naruto said before both shinobi were sucked in by the wormhole. The barrier around the 4 kunai vanished as well as the kunai which were sucked into the wormhole. Naruto Uzumaki was gone. The hero of the 4th Great Ninja War had disappeared along with Madara Uchiha, the greatest living form of chaos that ever walked on this planet. The people of the shinobi world mourned for the loss of their hero, as he had given up his life to save the world. He had died with a smile on his face. He did it all to achieve the peace that would now ensue on this planet. Thus ended the great tale. The tale of Naruto Uzumaki, author, or that's what people thought. Now let's find out what actually happened to the person who had done this jutsu. Dimensional gap, the rip in the space-time continuum, fanfiction multiverse. Naruto and Madara were traveling at the speed of light. They were rushing past planets, stars and other celestial bodies as they saw things they could never imagine. A orange-clad man with golden spiky hair fighting a pink-like creature. A bald man wearing a yellow suit punching everything out of existence. A blonde-haired man who could stop time while fighting a cap-wearing man. Astral figures emerged from the both of them while one of them shouted Aura and the other Muda. Cannibalistic giants that raged against normal-sized humans with blades in their hands. Men with swords that glowed and buzzed when they struck against each other, as all of them had near clothes of black kimono and white hakama. A small yellow rat-like creature emitting electricity while fighting another dragon-like creature. Some strange machines in space as they flew and one blue-suited man with spiky hair and a cigarette in his mouth smirked. A man fully clad in black as he had a slab of iron on his back that was too large to be called a sword. A boy with smooth brown hair writing names into a notebook while he took a chip with his right hand and ate it. They even saw different versions of themselves as well. One of the Naruto was fighting Itachi and Suna. One of them looked like he was a bit older and married to Hinata. Another Naruto was wearing the same armor as Madara. While one of the Naruto had 3 siblings. And some men just standing with pieces of wooden sticks out of which light flew out, and they were pointing at each other while yelling absolute nonsense. Kurama, are you seeing this? Naruto got no reply. Oh Kurama! Damn it! Naruto cried out a bit. He really wanted to hear the fox's voice one last time. He had been there with him for the past 17 years of his life. Now he was alone. The Bijou must have not been allowed to leave that space-time continuum, but it seemed like that Naruto could still feel their chakra inside his body. Speaking of chakra. His eyes shot to Madara, whose literal soul was being pulled out of his mouth as a death-like god was seen towering over them with a vicious face. The death god disappeared after the soul was taken. Then the unexpected happened. Madara's Edo Tensei body that was now crumbling into paper like objects had rushed to him and were being fused with his body. Naruto screamed out in pain as he received all of Madara's memories and knowledge. Everything that Madara knew, felt and experienced was being tattooed and re-experienced by Naruto. One day Hashirama will be able to reach our dream, a young Madara said to an equally young Hashirama. It looks like we won't be able to show our guts, huh? Madara asked Hashirama as he stood by with his father and brother. Izuna. Hang in there, Madara said as he cried, holding the body of his dying brother. Don't worry, take my eyes, Nisama, Izuna said as he knew he wasn't going to make it. It's the least I can do. Madara and Hashirama had fought for entire 24 hours and after a final revelation, he had made peace with Hashirama. The village hidden in the leaves was born. Madara came back to life with Izanagi and was slowly making his base at Mountain Graveyard as he prepared to fuse his body with Hashirama's cells. A final memory, as Madara had died believing that he gave his plans to Obito to continue the Eye of the Moon plan. Another life, another planet. In this vast multitude of the various universe, exist several universes, similar yet different, constants and variables. A person is a hero in one realm, but a villain in another. Another realm exists that is a perfect copy of another one which exists in its own separate realm of reality. The outcome of one universe does not determine the other. Constants and variables indeed. However, at times an anomaly rises in the equation that brings about a result that was both unexpected and impossible. Hence the past can be changed if one were to travel back in time, but only because it was in another dimension. Reference to the multiverse theory. And now back to the plot. Ta no Kuni / Land of Rice, Kenso no Kuni, Earth, Naruto verse 3. A strange large hole appeared in the sky. A single figure came out of it and crashed onto the plain grassy field. A relatively old man was nearby and decided to investigate the place. He saw the man lying on the ground and decided to help him. This was a neutral nation that had housed no shinobi as of yet, so if a man just lies around with blood leaking out of his body, someone would be naturally inclined to help that injured person. 2 days later, somewhere in a room in a generic house, Land of Rice, Kyuso. A deep yet innocent voice said. What hit me? The person got up and observed himself. He had bandages wrapped around his chest and abdomen. The man then stood up and got out of the house. He saw the lake nearby and immediately rushed there to drink some water. He dove his face in and started drinking like a horse as he took his large amounts of liquid forms of hydrogen and oxygen. His quench had finally lessened as he took his head out and breathed heavily. He took some time to breathe before he finally looked down back at the water and screamed in surprise. What the fuck? The most dignifying and intelligent answer he could come up with. He saw his own reflection once more. He had light tan skin, onyx eyes that had a bit of life in them. His face was smooth, chiseled and had handsome features. He had raven spiky hair that was a bit tame. The hair itself came down all the way to his back. He stood up and observed himself. He also felt taller for some reason. He took off his bandages and saw that his muscles were even more well-developed than before, and he suddenly remembered all the memories he had received. The man reached over to the lake to see his reflection once more. Why do I look a lot like Madara team? The man said. I still have some features of my own. Maybe this is a genjutsu ki. The man said as he made the ram hand seal. Okay, calm down. Maybe this is just a dream. The memories too. The man said as he spoke with himself. If this is a dream then the Sharingan won't appear when I channel chakra to my eyes. The man did so and looked back at his reflection. Instead of the onyx irides, there were now 2 crimson orbs looking back at him. A small opaque dot was there absolutely black in color, as 3 tomos surrounded it. He channeled some more chakra as they changed their shape as it shifted into 3 open tomo with thick lines extending from the outer walls to the limits of his irides. Madara's EMS. What made it even more surprising is that he had done it unconsciously as if it was second nature. He knew exactly how to do it. He channeled even more chakra as he felt a different sort of chakra flood his system. It wasn't his own but it felt like it was his. He looked back at the reflection, as he expected his eyes to change once more. Instead of the crimson orbs, they were light purple in color. Concentric rings formed around inside in a ripple formation. At least that is what he expected. But it didn't happen. So it seems I can't access the Rinnegan yet, but I can feel the Yin chakra and the Yang chakra. Maybe it will take some time to awaken once more, the man said out loud to no one in particular. He then flicked his wrist and saw that an all too familiar tri-pronged kunai emerged in his hand. He then cut off his chakra to his eyes as they turned back to onyx orbs. He then held out his palm and ball of rotating violet chakra formed around in his palm. It kept making the swirling noise. The man then deactivated the jutsu and stood still. He had closed his eyes. A fuzzball, you there? He screamed inside his mind. No answer came. But chakra of former said tenant was there along with the chakra of his brothers and sisters. He then started to think about the situation. I traveled through a hole in space and time. According to the memories I have received, they are undoubtedly Madara's. Which means, his remaining body must have latched onto me as everything but his soul is with me. So I can use his abilities. My former abilities are there as well, and the Biju's chakra is there as well. But surprisingly I seem to have complete control over it must be because of Madara. He did have perfect chakra control, nearly as good as Bachan. Wait, why did I understand all this better? Why the heck am I so calm? Is it because I absorbed some of Madara's nature as well? That does explain why I'm not freaking the fuck out yet. Sighs, oh well, better get out of here before something big happens. This man who resembled Madara Uchiha and himself was none other than Naruto. The jutsu which he thought was his death turned out to be a surprise as he felt his strength and powers increased threefold. I don't completely feel like myself though. I feel a bit colder. Probably because of that undead bastard's remains attaching on to me. Someone's nearby, Naruto thought as he saw a rather old man come up with some wood. Oh, you're up already, young man, the man said with a kind smile. You're healed as well. With that wound in your chest I thought you would have died. It's alright, I heal fast. Thank you for helping me, Naruto replied. Where is this place? Oh, this is Tano Kuni. By the way, how did you fall out of the sky, young man? The old man asked. I was testing out a jutsu. It went wrong, Naruto replied immediately, his face completely devoid of emotion which for the lack of words clearly stated none of your business, and don't ask further questions. The old man seemed to have gotten the subtle message and simply smiled at Naruto, who at the moment was processing the words the old man said. Tano Kuni? Land of Rice. Jiraiya had told me that Oto no Kuni used to be called Tano Kuni before that foul snake took over the land. If this is the same place, then that means as Naruto was pondering a destiny-altering fact. He had failed to notice that instead of calling the Toad Sage by his usual name of Ero Sennin, he had referred to him by his actual name. Old man, Naruto spoke up as the person in question looked at him. For how many days was I unconscious? Around 2 days. There were several other wounds on you as well, but the one on your chest was the largest, though surprisingly your clothes and your armor were completely fine. The old man replied. I see. How many days has it been since the 4th Great Ninja War ended? Naruto asked, and the old man had a confused expression on his face. 4th Great War? You must be still reeling from your wounds, young one. The 2nd war ended a few years ago. Maybe you ought to rest a bit more, just as I thought. Naruto inwardly was angry. If what I learned is correct, then I'm back in time and in a different dimension too. This is going to be a hassle. Naruto then looked at the old man and spoke. Thank you for helping me when I was injured here, Naruto said as he put his hands on the large array of tattoos on his left, well-shaped bicep. A poof noise came and a scroll came out. He unsealed it more and out came 50,000 ryo. He handed the money to the old man. a token of my gesture. Wait. I can't accept this. It's too much. The old man said. He wanted to say more but Naruto would have none of it. I insist. Naruto replied, leaving no space for argument. Now where are the rest of my clothes and gear? Then a large grumbling noise came from Naruto's mouth, who embarrassingly scratched the back of his head. Are you hungry, young man? The old man asked. He had a kind smile on his face. Sort of. Being unconscious for 2 days can do that. Oh right. Sorry about my earlier behavior. My name is Naruto. Naruto said as he bowed his head a bit. Be respectful, Naruto. He'll give you food. It's okay, young man. From the looks of it you are a shinobi, so I understand it. My son is a shinobi too. He lives in a place called, what was it called again? Bakagakure? The old man scratched his gray hair, which still had shades of green in it. Takigakure, I think. Naruto said. Yes, that's the one. The old man said. Oh right. Hope you like rice, young man. We have plenty of that. I made a joke. Did you get the reference? The man said while he laughed a bit. Naruto for his part laughed along awkwardly as he was mentally sweat dropping at the land of rice joke he made. Man, talk about a lame joke. Naruto thought while he clutched his stomach while laughing maniacally and stomping the floor with his foot too. Just laugh along. He has food. Hours later, near the northern borders of the Ta no Kuni and Taki no Kuni, Kenso no Kuni, Naruto walked slowly. Right now he was angry. Not just because of the fact that he had been sent to a dimension that too in the past, whereas he had planned to end his life and finally get some peace. No, Kami decided to fuck with him a little bit more and decided that not only would he live but he would have the body of none other than Madara Uchiha. His skills, his looks, which weren't so bad, his knowledge and his memories. While Naruto did pity the man for going through the losses he had to endure, that didn't change the fact that Madara had developed quite the god complex and was willing to let the world burn just so he could create his ideal version of the world. Right now, Naruto's wrath had turned up threefold. He sensed the chakra signature that was too recognizable. He stood still for a moment, and was absorbing nature energy. Naruto realized that he could still use the famed Mokoton that the Shodaime Hokage Hashirama Senju had created and Madara recreated through the first cells. Naruto was glad he didn't have Hashirama's face sticking out of his chest. That was just weird. How did Madara even sleep with the face of the man he hated most carved to the muscles that housed his heart? Naruto knew just how much Madara hated the Senju, particularly Tobirama Senju, and even Naruto had to admit the second Hokage was kind of an ass. Just like Madara's brother who was also an ass. Just like Danzo Shimura, the eye-stealing, conflict-feeding son of a bitch that he was and an asshole. Naruto took out a kunai and saw his reflection. It was the same sage markings he had before, only this time. The orange tints of color that wrapped around his eyes were red and a red circle appeared on his forehead, which had another red circular dot in the center. His eyes no longer had the toad iris, but the iris was still yellow, and had orange surrounding the iris. Naruto threw his tri-pronged kunai in the backward direction, and it struck a tree. A single figure came out of the tree. It was a being made entirely of black. He had yellow eyes with no sclera or iris. 2 empty orbs of desolate yellow. He also had a plant-like shape and was surprised at the kunai being flung at him, which he managed to dodge. What made it stranger was the fact that the person before resembled a young Madara Uchiha a lot, though not completely, as his face had subtle differences from the ghost of the Uchiha. He was even wearing the same Warring States armor as him too. I figured I'd see you around here, Zetsu, Naruto said with a cold tone. Before you answer that, let me tell you something. You are not bringing that Kagaya bitch here on this planet. You certainly aren't going to control Madara, and lastly you are going to die. Naruto finished as he disappeared in a black flash. Zetsu for his part was surprised. He had never seen this technique before and was surprised. So surprised that his mind couldn't process the swirling noise that was coming. Naruto suddenly appeared behind him, Rasengan in hand that had wind chakra laced onto it. It was a toned-down version of his S-rank jutsu, Futon, Furundo Rasengan / wind style, flowing wind spiraling sphere. Naruto yelled out as he slammed the Rasengan that was spinning with white ellipses of wind chakra into the black being. Zetsu was reeling from the pain. He couldn't die here. He had to bring back his mother. He couldn't fail. Sadly, that was not how things would play out. Goodbye, Zetsu, Naruto said as appeared in front of Zetsu. His eyes took the shape of the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, Amaterasu / heavenly illumination, Naruto said as black unforgiving flames covered the entirety of Zetsu's body. Naruto didn't want to take any chance and unsealed some of the chakra rods that Pain had used against him. Since he was in sage mode, he had no problem touching it. All the knowledge that he had unwillingly gotten from Madara would come in handy when he would awaken the Rinnegan and make his own black rods / blades. Naruto thought this while he was instinctively making short work of the being who potentially could have been responsible for a greater calamity. Naruto's chakra disruption rod stabbed Zetsu in various places, firmly planting him in the ground. He then started exhaling breath with Futon chakra to burn away every fiber of Zetsu so he could not escape. Soon enough, nothing was left. Zetsu had been killed. Now to take care of the other problem, but first I want to test something out. Naruto grinned devilishly as he disappeared in a smokeless shunshin as he felt another source of chakra nearby. He had killed this particular being in spades during the war. Mountains graveyard, northern borders on the outskirts of Land of Rice and Land of Waterfalls. Madara Uchiha was silently sitting in his lonesome throne. His original set of eyes, which had transformed into the Rinnegan, were with someone else now, an Uzumaki orphan by the name of Nagato. That was an insurance plan. The bonding of Hashirama's cell had been completed, but in his old age, he is not what he used to be. He only had one spare eye left, that which was in his left socket. His body had withered out, and he had to take in chakra from the Geto Mizo behind him to stay alive. His old trusty gunbai was there at the corner of the room while he used his once murderous kusa as a crutch now. This world was hell in his opinion. He needed to change it. The infinite Tsukuyomi was the only option left. He looked up at the ceiling, and wondered how long it had been since he had seen the sunlight. But another troubling question came to mind. He had sent out his artificial being White Zetsu to scout out anything useful. It had been hours and he should have returned by now. Then the unthinkable happened. The ceiling of his hideout for more than 50 years had come crashing down. More specifically, there was a perfect circular hole had formed, and that part had fell as gravity did its work. All the rubble fell before his eyes, and then he saw something even more. White Zetsu was there. His body torn to shreds, his limbs haphazardly lying around as the original had died. This White Zetsu was supposed to be the prototype before he created more variants of it, including one where he could attach his will to. Then he saw the person responsible for it. The man was wearing the Uchiha combat robes that was reminiscent of the Warring States period, and he had long spiky black hair that came to his back. He was standing high atop the crater. His face couldn't be seen as he was wearing a mask, a white mask that looked like a skull and had red tribal markings on one side of its face. Ichigo's first visored mask. The man jumped down, and he was emanating the very sense of death that made even Madara feel the intensity of it. The killing intent was something akin to his own, too similar to his own. Even the chakra signature from this person felt too familiar. Uchiha Madara, the man said with a tone that resembled a bit of his own when he was younger. The time has come. You've cheated death once. You will not do so twice. Who are you? Madara replied. He may have been old, but his voice still bore his pride. I am all that's left, or maybe I'm all that there ever was. The man said. Then Madara saw it. His own eternal Manjikyu Sharingan blazing in eye holes of the mask. Those eyes there like mine. Who are you? Madara asked once more. As I said, I am all that's left. Everything you could have become had you not let your hatred consume you. If only you said the truth that you were gay for Hashirama, the man said, and the grin was well hidden beneath his mask. Some snickers came from the man who had his face hidden beneath the mask, but even Madara could tell the stranger was smirking at him, and this did not sit well with the ghost of the Uchiha was visibly reacting in anger upon his forgotten throne. What? Madara yelled out in anger. How dare you even suggest something like that, coming from the man who is a 90-year-old virgin? The man replied. Of all people, Urasai. Who are you? Madara said as he still sat down. The man chuckled before he took off his mask. Madara saw a younger version of himself, but there were small differences between their faces. Very small features, but they were there. I told you. I am all you could have become. It's a shame, Madara. Tsuki no Mi ends today. The man threw a tri-pronged kunai which Madara managed to catch despite his old age. You need to work on your aim. Madara said. The man in return grinned. Who said I was aiming to kill? The man before him disappeared in a black flash and reappeared in from with a katana that was pure silver with a light blue edge as it hummed. With Futon chakra, Madara Uchiha felt his chest being stabbed. He needed to use his Anaji. Then he lost his vision as his lone left eye was torn out. Madara Uchiha, the first man in any given history to achieve the eternal light that the Uchiha dream of, was finally blind. He could not see. His final strand of pride had been taken from him. Naruto then left Madara to writhe in pain while a murder of raven feathers formed around his hand as a crow stood there with one eye. The single eye had a Sharingan in it. After Itachi had been brought back as an Edo Tensei, Naruto had encountered him and used the Kiyaka Fuin/contract seal to break Kabuto's control over the reanimated Uchiha prodigy. Sadly, he couldn't do the same to Nagato, who had to be sealed by Itachi's Susanoo. Later Itachi told him that he had given Naruto one of Shirsue's Manjikyu Sharingan, which had the rare ability known as Koto Amatsukami/Distinguished Heavenly Gods, a Manjikyu ability which gives complete control over a person and the victim would never realize it. Naruto had then learned from Itachi in moments how to summon his own unique crow, and now he placed Madara's last eye into the other socket. This was nothing more than an insurance. He was broken out of his thoughts as a dying Madara groaned in pain. Naruto's eye flicked off to him once more, and he slowly walked the old Uchiha. WW, who are you? Madara wheezed out in pain. Why do you have cough and my chakra and my powers? Like I said, I am all that you could have ever become. Minus the gay part with Hashirama, that's just weird and nasty. Honestly, why couldn't you just like a girl and then kunai and chill? Naruto said shruggingly. He was doing this to mess with Madara specifically. From what he learned from the man's memories, Madara and Hashirama were in ways similar to Sasuke and Naruto when they were younger. Many people had pissed him off by saying that Naruto and Sasuke were made for each other, and whatnot. That pissed him off. He was sure that an accusation like this would piss off Madara as well. It did, as Madara had a hateful expression on his face despite the fact that he was dying and was blinded. Naruto decided that it was enough, and he needed to end this. Uchiha Madara, Naruto said as he took the katana in his hand once more, and this time it hummed with wind chakra once more. Your time had come a long time ago. Don't fear the Reaper, since we all have to go someday, though in your case I would guess he is pretty pissed. Good riddance, you old goat, and may the Shinigami give you a proper prostrate exam when he sees you. With Naruto made a horizontal slash at Madara's neck. For a moment, everything stood still, and then the old Uchiha's head came off and fell onto his own lap. Naruto still had his eternal Manjiki Sharingan activated as he looked at the remains of the Uchiha and muttered one word, Amaterasu. Black flames engulfed the dead body of the Uchiha. Naruto had specifically taken out his lone Sharingan first because he knew that the sly bastard would have transcribed Izanagi into the eye. Naruto knew this because he had Madara's body, memories and thought patterns. He finally knew how the crafty old Uchiha's mind worked, though it did fucking piss him that it was useless now. He deactivated his eternal Manjiki Sharingan and stared at Madara's rotting corpse with onyx eyes that showed satisfaction over finally being able to kill the madman who was responsible for the entire predicament. He could have ended the existence of the flames, but there was no need to. He would let it burn for the whole 7 days. The last thing he wanted was for someone to get his remains and bring him back as an Edo Tensei. No way was he letting that happen again. Naruto walked over to the throne and looked at the Gedo statue. You fucking statue, Naruto said as he kicked the statue and then grabbed his foot as he comically yelped in pain. TCH. Even as just a statue, you're a pain in my ass. Alright, if Madara's memories are correct, the stupid old goat must have at least 100 scrolls lying around here just on ninjutsu and genjutsu. Can't let that go to shame, especially this kusa and that gunbai, Naruto said as he picked up the old kusa. Honestly speaking, Naruto was heavily impressed when Madara had used the gunbai against him. It seemed that fusing with Madara did have some perks. Now he just wanted to train a bit before heading back out into the world again. Naruto was a bit sad that he couldn't go back to his own time, mostly because he didn't know if he could go back to his own time. He would probably end up somewhere else, and he did not want to go to the world where everybody just stands around with wooden sticks as flashy specks of light emerge while they yell nonsense. For now Uchiha Naruto would train himself to master nearly all of Madara's abilities, so that he can go about his own ways, and prevent any large bad events from recurring in this timeline. Food wouldn't be an issue. Jiraiya had long taught him how to hunt. Time skip, 1 year later. Borderlands forest. Hai no Kuni, Kenso no Kuni. It was nighttime now. There was a cool, comforting breeze in the area. The sweet smell of the trees had been coating the air with a natural smell that reeked of peace, even in a conflicted world like this. One single man was walking alone at night. He had long, spiky raven hair that was smooth at some points that came down all the way to his back. Usually one of his eyes would be covered by one of the bangs, but he adjusted his hair in such a way that both his eyes could be seen clearly. As his hair split down on the bridge of his nose, he had lightly tanned skin that gave his pale expression a handsome complexion. He had onyx iridescent eyes. They seemed both lifeless and at times kind as well. He had a bored expression on his angular, chiseled face, and at the moment, he was mumbling something as his well-toned body built for quick, precise and death-dealing combat was strolling through the forest. He was wearing the Uchiha combat robes that clansmen used to wear during the warring states. His robes were dark blue in color along with even darker blue pants that came down to his heels, and he had a black obi tied around it that had various pouches surrounding and black tapes covering his heels. To finish it off, he also had a gunbai on his back which covered the Uchiha fan stitched onto his clothes and was wearing toeless black shinobi sandals. Stupid time travel rules. I could have just flashed to the Hokage monument. But no, you have to be in the same space-time continuum to let the ceiling matrix apply. Goddamn rules and regulations. Naruto Uchiha grumbled as he now had a childish expression on his face. He had been training for the last whole year in grueling fashion. He had decided not to go back to his time because he had done his duty as the child of prophecy. He was sure that peace was brought to his time. Now that he was in the past, he had done his job again. He had brought down the entire mountain graveyard and put up some highly dangerous seals that would decimate anyone, except him who would try to enter and even look for the Gedo Mizo. On top of that, Madara's knowledge and skills were such that he even erected a wall of fire inside the inner sanctum of the mountain graveyard that would dance forever as it was, made of the unholy flames of Amaterasu/heavenly illumination. Good luck getting Madara Uchiha's blood to enter that place. He had decided to go back to Konoha and live out his life as a shinobi peacefully. By peacefully, he meant fighting and killing. You know, the usual drive for a shinobi. Naruto, after thoroughly abusing the shadow clone jutsu once more, had finally awakened the Rinnegan. It was natural, and Naruto was sure that with Madara's memories he was more than enough to take on anyone. Maybe, just maybe this time around Naruto could prevent a lot of things from happening. His former parents' death, since he was no longer himself as he had already made up a backstory of being Madara's grandson. The old man was bound to take him, but he'd have to take care of Danzo Shimura. That was something he definitely needed to do. He could also prevent Yahiko from dying, so Nagato is on the right paths with Konin. He could also prevent Obito from turning into a man and stop the Uchiha massacre. Yes, a lot of things could be fixed. And then Naruto sighed. Fuck my life. Naruto said as he kept walking. Why couldn't I get to Konoha without any major incident? Kami, why must you do this? Naruto said as he stopped. He then stood completely still as he felt the chakra signatures get closer. There were 5 of them in total. 4 of them were Jounin level and one of them was quite large as well. But he felt that the source of chakra was strange. Strange as in it felt like it was struggling and felt a bit familiar too. Naruto waited and soon enough they appeared. Naruto had to be impressed with Madara's skill in suppressing his chakra signature. Even the best of sensors couldn't feel Madara around their area unless he wanted them to. Naruto was about to say something but he didn't get the chance. Stop right there. The Kumo Jounin shouted at Naruto, who was looking at him with a bored expression, and yawned. It was a genuine yawn. He had been walking for some time, so it was quite understandable. Who are you? Just a simple guy. Naruto said as he eyed all of them. They weren't the ones with a large chakra, but he was looking for a source. The 5 Jounin were apparently surrounding someone. Maybe Naruto could get lucky and just get past them without. Hey! He looks like an Uchiha. One of them shouted. Fuck! Naruto inwardly cursed. Honestly, why did Uchiha look so one-directional in their genetic looks? Stupid genes of the sage's older son. Naruto grumbled in his mind. Let's grab him as well. Raikage-sama would be really pleased. Another one said. Blind fucking loyalists. Do they not see how much I resemble Madara? I have a fucking gunbai on my back as well. Naruto thought without losing his poker face. He sighed as 2 of them came forward and he activated his Sharingan. Upon eye contact, both of them froze in mid-air when they made the jump. Naruto unsealed 2 regular kunai and lodged them against their throats. Then Naruto disappeared in front of their eyes and then appeared in front of one and hit him with the Rasengan right on his face with full power. They didn't let him explain his situation so they would die. They were going to use him as a sperm provider. They would die. If only he could have taken the 4th Raikage AI down a few pegs before he left. Oh wait, Madara did, and Naruto giggled as he remembered the memories of his symbiotic other. Naruto looked at the last Kumo Jounin and saw that he was holding a girl of no more than 16 as a hostage. She had long flowing red hair that came down to her back, had violet eyes and creamy skin along with a beautiful face. Her eyes were red and puffy right now. She seemed so lost, but she looked at him for a bit of help now. Naruto sighed inwardly. How could he not help someone, especially a beautiful girl like that was looking at him like that? Stay back, Uchiha. The man growled as he held a kunai at her throat. Or else the bitch gets it, amateur. Naruto said as he pointed his finger at the man and muttered Ayatsu, Sharingan/coercion, Sharingan, and the man froze in place. And then he slowly fell backwards, but Naruto got there and stabbed him with his own kunai. Naruto deactivated his Sharingan and then looked at the girl who was sitting on her knees. He took a real good look at her. Her heart-shaped face had the Konoha Hittite on her forehead, as her royal crimson locks of hair framed her face with bangs. She was wearing a dark purple short-sleeved battle kimono that had eddy-like designs of dark red at the bottom and the Uzumaki swirl on her back, and black pants that came down to a level a bit above her heels, giving a preview of the creamy and toned legs she had. Her developing body hugged the clothes as Naruto smiled a bit out of both saving her and some sheer perverseness. She's gotta be around 16 or 17, I guess. But look at her, I mean the girls back in my time didn't have curves like this. Oh well. Thoughts for later. Naruto thought as he cut her bindings and saw that the ropes themselves had seals on them to suppress her chakra. He gently got down on one knee and put his hand on her chin, raising her face to look at his. You alright, Beneheim? Naruto asked with a kind smile. As if on cue, the girl blushed up as she took a good look at her savior's handsome features. He was strong too, and an Uchiha. She nodded weakly. Hi, she squeaked out. Where did they take you from? Naruto asked. From outside Konoha. I was a bit angry and rushed out of the village to blow off some steam, the red-haired girl said, more like mumbled, but Naruto was chuckling at her words, which she found surprising. Uchiha did not generally chuckle, smile, or laugh save a select few. Quite the temper you have, Naruto said after stopping his chuckles. He looked at the girl who was cutely pouting. Let's get you back there then, Beneheim-chan. I have to go to Konoha as well. Yes. The girl replied as she got up but lost a bit of balance, and nearly fell over, but a hand snaked itself around her belly and held her in place. She looked up to see that it was the same Uchiha who saved her, and upon the close contact with him once more she blushed an atomic explosion. What are you doing, Yair days? Naruto said as he scooped her up in a bridal style, only amplifying the blush on her face. It's clear that those Kumo bastards dragged you on like that. Sit back and enjoy the ride, Beneheim-chan. We'll be near Konoha soon, Naruto said as he jumped from tree branch to tree branch while the moon shined down on both of them. The girl for her part kept stealing glances at him every now and then, and Naruto did not want to miss out on a chance like this. See something you like, Beneheim-chan? Naruto asked. Sticking with Jiraiya for so long did make him have a healthy interest in girls, but just like his Toad Sage master, he too only appreciated the best of the best. No half-assed lacking girls for him, no sir. Was he a pervert if he wanted a beautiful woman in his arms? Then every man in the world was a pervert, and nothing. She squeaked out and in embarrassment dug into his chest to hide her blush. It's alright, Beneheim-chan. I was just teasing. I don't want you to get angry again like you did earlier in the day, Naruto said. He then looked at her, and he tilted his head, making the girl resist the urge to glomp him. Why did you get angry, Beneheim-chan? Mao, she said as she had a sheepish expression on her. I got angry because some boys were making fun about my hair. They said I look like a tomato. They're right. Even I don't like my hair that much, Kushina said, and then she realized that they had stopped. Naruto sighed and took some of her deep, flowing tresses of her hair in his hand as she observed him. They're idiots, Beneheim-chan, Naruto said. They don't know any better about anything. Besides, if you asked me, you have beautiful crimson hair. You should always let it flow like this. The girls blushed the most at his words, and both were moving along soon enough as Naruto kept going forward while a chain of thoughts began to form. When Naruto had heard the story from his mother, he thought she was exaggerating about this, or that his father had a fetish for red hair. True, he too liked his mother's crimson tresses, but seeing some beautiful locks of scarlet hair like this truly made him realize why his once genetic father had said this to his once genetic mother. Considering he was in Madara's body, his entire DNA structure had changed. Then it clicked. No, he had saved a red-headed girl from the Kumo Jounin. No. He had complimented her luscious red hair, and she was comfortably snugging into his chest. Please be someone else. Please be someone else. Please be someone else. Say, Beneheim-chan, Naruto said a bit nervously. We never introduced ourselves. My name is Uchiha Naruto. What's yours? Right, I forgot, she said as she pulled her face out of his chest. My name is Uzumaki Kushina. Nice to meet you, Databane, she said a bit excitedly, and once more hid her face for delivering her verbal tick. No, I stopped Minato from saving Kushina. I saved her. I complimented her red hair. This was the moment they shared and had connected. Okay. If it wasn't for the fact that he was in Madara's body, and the high level of emotional control that the old ghost had, Naruto would have been tripping balls in front of his once genetically mother right now. He did, however, shake a bit, and she looked at him with the most damned cutest expression he had ever seen. Is something wrong, Naruto-kun? Kushina said and lightly gasped at calling him with the suffix of kun. You know what, I'm not her son anymore. So the fact that they won't end up together shouldn't affect my existence. Since Madara died and this is his body, that means I too should have disappeared. Then that means I'm in a different dimension considering all those other versions I saw of myself. You know what, fuck it. I don't care what happens anymore. Naruto finished his thoughts. Nothing, Beneheim-chan, Naruto said with a smile. He'd be living his own life now. He was a different person, so he wouldn't be erased from existence even if his parents didn't end up together. Why do you keep calling me that? My name is Kushina Databane, she whined out a bit. Well, it's because you are one. In my eye, at least you are my crimson princess, Naruto said, and she really wasn't going to bring her face out of his chest anymore. Then Naruto stopped as another person appeared in front of them. He had felt his chakra signature some time ago. Blonde hair, check. Blue eyes, check. Konoha headband, check. Age around 16, check. Jealous and a bit of a lost look on his face because I am holding his possible future wife in my arms, after saving her and ruining nearly any and every chance he had of ending up with her, check. Naruto thought. On a side note, he did look flaky. Looks like he was one of those pretty boys at the academy. But he was strong for his age, no doubt about that, but he still looks a bit flaky. Who are you? Why do you have Kushina like that? The boy asked. Minato, Kushina said a bit angrily, mind you. He saved me and brought me here. This is Uchiha Naruto. Naruto grunted, trying to assert the fact that he is a true Uchiha. In accordance to the mindset of Madara, one is not a true Uchiha if he doesn't have a Katon/fire release chakra nature, doesn't awaken the Sharingan, and most importantly doesn't fluently speak the language of Hin. But Naruto decided to keep the image of a different Uchiha. However, Minato wasn't greeting him. How dare Minato not greet the mighty Uchiha Naruto? I mean, sure, he's holding Kushina in his arms, but still at least have some courtesy to someone who saved someone from your village. Jealous little bitch. You know what? Naruto screamed in his mind. I am going to be the bigger man here. Muhahaha. Nice to meet you as well, Minato, Naruto said, and he still didn't get a response. Minato looked like someone had kicked his puppy and kept looking at how Kushina was tightly gripping Naruto as her arms were beginning to weigh down on his neck. Naruto's sweat dropped at the situation he was in. This is going to be really awkward from now on. Well, at least I won't be bored. I wonder if Ichiraku's is around? Location: a few miles away from the gates of Konoha. Forests of Hai no Kuni, Kenso no Kuni. Naruto verse 3. Silence. The mighty foreboding flood of silence was raging in the forest. destroying any and every form of noise that existed, as 3 forms could be seen going back to the Hidden Leaf Village at a moderate and slow pace. They had speeded up considerably where they were from during their first meeting, and now that they were a bit closer to their destination, the pace that had been set has considerably lessened. One of those figures is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed teen of around 16 years old. He wears a full-sleeved white jacket that is unbuttoned, and the fishnet shirt underneath it can be seen. He is also wearing blue pants that come down to his heels, finished with black toeless sandals. He has a Hittite on his forehead that has the symbol of a leaf on it. This is Minato Namikaze, Chunin of Konoha no Sato, and considered a prodigy in every term of the word. He truly deserves this title. The other 2 are in a sense, one being as one of them is carrying the other in his arms. Said carried person is crimson-haired girl and amethyst eyes. She has a heart-shaped face and is currently wearing a deep purple-colored short-sleeved, battle kimono-like blouse with dark red embroidered borders, held closed with a black obi, and a dark short skirt and stocking that stopped at her thighs, along with a forehead protector on her forehead. Her skin was creamy, and the little amount of skin from her face, arms and little amount legs showed it. The clothes also hugged her developing curves. Her arms were currently tightly gripped around the neck of the person who was carrying her bridal style. The person being carried was Uzumaki Kushina, the last full-blooded Uzumaki alive in the planet, or that's what the general consensus is. Said person groaned a little from the grip and decided to speak about it. Say Kushina-chan, the 18-year-old boy said. He was wearing Uchiha combat robes that were dark blue in color along with black pants. He had long spiky, raven hair that was smooth in some parts, and came down to his back. He also had a chiseled handsome face with a slight tan expression that gave his near-pale skin a good complexion. He also had onyx eyes that a certain shine to them, and finally had a gun strapped to his back. What is it, Naruto-kun? Kushina asked her raven-haired savior. Calling her Crimson Princess got a cute reaction out of her every time, and since he didn't want the girl to make his chest her permanent pillow, he decided to call her by her name. Mind you, this did not make the girl any less happier, but it did get Minato to not look like a broken man, or in his case a teen. Not that much anyway. Well, I was wondering if you could kindly decrease your grip on my neck, Naruto said with a sheepish expression. Seriously, he adores the incredibly beautiful girl in his arms right now, but he kind of likes his neck too. I mean, he can't live without it. So that's saying something. Oh, sorry, Kushina said as she was a bit red from embarrassment. She loosened the grip, but she did not take her arms away from the neck of the Uchiha. One thing she noticed was that despite the cool, chilly air that is present sometimes in the forest, especially at this time, was not getting to her. Simple really, her carrier was emitting a large amount of warm and comfy heat from his body. It made her want to squiggle more into it. However, Kushina knew her boundaries and knew it would be highly indecent to do so. Still, there was something about the strange Uchiha that attracted her to him. He was unlike nearly most of the 99.99475983009% of Uchiha who, for the lack of a better and perfect term, had a stick up their asses. This hunk of an Uchiha had occasionally smiled and chuckled. He even laughed. She only knew a few Uchiha who laughed, and they could be counted on hand. More specifically, 2 to 3 fingers. However, there was something about his face that intrigued her as well. It seemed all too familiar. She was sure that she had seen his face before, and then she remembered coming to the village for the first time. The 2 statues at the Valley of the End. The statues served as a memory to remind people that the entire landscape had changed when those 2 legendary figures fought there. One of them was Senju Hashirama, one of the founders of the Hidden Leaf Village, and the other was the co-founder, which the Shodai Hokage's late wife Uzumaki Senju had relented to her, Uchiha Madara. The strongest Uchiha to ever exist. Now that Kushina thought about it, his facial structure seemed to closely resemble that of Madara's, and she could only make one conclusion. Madara is a chibi again. Or this is his relative. Kushina thought as a mini version of her inside her mind was furiously scribbling away at the ideas. Honestly, it was very amusing to imagine. Then she decided to ask a question. Soon enough that question was asked, however, it was not by her. Rather it was Minato who asked it. How come I've never seen you in the village before? Naruto, who was playing 20 questions in his mind the entire time, was dragged out of his thoughts. His mind before was processing a lot of things. What would he do when he got to Konoha? He already had the excuse ready that he was Madara's grandson. Heck, he was pretty sure that if they did a DNA test on him, if it existed back then, he was sure that his genetic map would be similar to Madara's. Madara's body was his vessel now, so to speak. In that revelation, Naruto realized that he had done what Orochimaru had been trying to do for years. Only Naruto made it seem more badass in his mind. After all, he still had his own abilities to use. 1 whole year of training with his new and improved body made Naruto realize one thing. Compared to someone like Madara, he sucked. No doubts about that. Starting from mental manipulation to all the way to unleashing battalion decimating ninjutsu, that man was in a league of his own, just like Senju Hashirama. Still, now that the ultimate shinobi was born, yes, Naruto dubbed himself that, not many people would stand a chance against him. But Madara's cold and calculative mind had a negative effect on him as well. Naruto for more than half of his life craved for admiration and recognition from the village. After Nagato and the 6 Paths of Pain had been defeated, he did gain it. In fact, the same people who glared at him and sometimes even roughed him up showered him with praises and blessings. He was so happy about it. However, an encounter with his inner self, the persona he had been suppressing, had emerged during his time to absorb the powers of the Kyuubi. He called him Yami, darkness, a title befitting of the persona. He had shown Naruto that he was running away from all the hatred that he had been festered by the people of Konoha. Eventually Naruto did overcome his hate. But fusing with Madara had also made him realize something. Naruto was a very foolish person who forgave people too easily. Madara, on the other hand, would never have forgiven such acts against him. If Madara were in Naruto's place, then surely he would have broken his seal and set forth the nine-tailed fox. However, Naruto was now an amalgam of both. He was Uzumaki Naruto in spirit. He was Uchiha Madara in body. He was Uchiha Naruto. A person of his own wishes and desires. No burdens of bringing peace to all the nations by placing them under a genjutsu. No burden of a prophecy that foretold of a boy bringing the peace that ends conflict. Just him and him alone. Well, Naruto spoke as both Konoha nin looked at him waiting for the answer they so both desired. That's because I wasn't born in the village in the first place. Naruto wasn't lying. He was born in the outskirts of the village right before Obito went batshit insane. Boy, was he glad Uchiha Obito was dead. The Obito of his dimension, not this one. Hell, for all he knew there could be an Obito in another dimension that was his uncle. Where were you born, Naruto-kun? Kushina asked. She herself was not an original resident of this village. A few days after she arrived, her homeland Uzushiogakure had been destroyed by the combined forces of Iwa, Kumo, and Kirigakure. The IKK Alliance, as some had called them, Ta no Kuni. Naruto said. It was true in essence of what they asked. Uchiha Naruto was born there. My mother and father raised me until I was 16. They died 2 years back, Naruto said. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. Kushina said with a solemn look in her eyes. Her parents had died in front of her eyes, and only then was she brought to Konoha to be the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Even Minato knew what it was like to be an orphan. His mother had died giving birth to him. His father had died even before he was born. Such is the pain that orphans share, and all three of them knew. You shouldn't be, Naruto said as he sadly smiled at Kushina. It wasn't your fault or anyone else's. They died with smiles on their faces knowing they raised me fine, so in the end it worked out. How did it work out? Kushina asked. Well, I have you in my arms, so I guess that's something, Naruto said as he grinned his iconic foxy grin minus the whisker marks. This still had the effect on women, and Kushina's face became a shade more pink after seeing that. Minato, for his part, furrowed his brows. He had liked Kushina for a long time. 4 years, months and days. He tried to talk to her, but her temper was such that even he was afraid of it. It wasn't easy trying to get the red-hot habanero to go out on a date with you. Getting past the bijou was more easy than getting a date with Kushina. No guy had ever gotten the chance to even make Kushina blush. And now, this guy shows up out of the fucking blue and does that so easily. On top that, the guy was an Uchiha no less. They were supposed to be the epitome of unmitigated scowls and tempers so foul that people avoided all forms of social contact with them, well, the majority of them at least. But no, this guy had to be one of the other 0.00524017% of the Uchiha who were generally social to some extent and not looking down on others. But what made it all the more worse was the fact that Kushina was in his arms as she occasionally snuggled into his chest out the way he was making her gain flushed expressions. Then Naruto stopped as he felt 4 incoming signatures. Chakra signatures that were above standard Jounin level, not that that meant anything to him. The ones who were arriving were probably ANBU Black Ops. Took them some time to notice that their Jinchuriki had gone missing, probably following protocols and whatnot, but Naruto felt like there was another hand at play here. The whole situation smelled of rats. Rat. Nah. The symbol that could be found on the ANBU masks of Root, or as others called it, the Foundation. Shimura Danzo was officially on Naruto's shit list ever since his little hostile takeover attempt when Swanda was in her chakra exhaustion resulting coma, not to mention the fact that he was the reason why countless scores of Uchiha were massacred. Even the children weren't spared. Madara would not have cared, but Naruto still had his foolish and selfless hero complex thing going on. Only this time Naruto had all the right tools to make the flow go in his favor. And if that meant he ended up fighting Danzo, so be it. Not that he'd have a chance to begin with. I mean, he was the perfect combo of Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Madara. The only people who stood a chance against him were a handful of people. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Reikage, Inoki the fence-sitter and Hanzo the salamander. And maybe some other shinobi who had met their untimely demise and died. Things could be different here as this was a different dimension. If it wasn't, well, by all constants and variables Naruto should have disappeared as his parents weren't tied by the red threads of destiny. Wait, do I count Nagato as well? I mean, sure, he has the Rinnegan, but will he be stronger? So many questions and so few answers, Naruto thought, and felt a tug on his sleeves as he watched the second Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi pull on his sleeve. Oh, what is it, Kushina-chan? Naruto asked, and Kushina sighed. She then motioned for him to look over at the forward direction, and his onyx eyes did just that. For ANBU were standing in front of him wearing the standard uniforms as he guessed. He had always seen them up front with their ponchos on. He looked at the stone-cold killers of Konoha and greeted them the only way he knew how. "Yo," Naruto said, and Minato nearly face-faulted at his greeting. Kushina stared at him with wide eyes. The ANBU did not react, however one did not really know what damned expressions they were making underneath their porcelain masks. Naruto looked at them and stared for some time. He spoke again. "Cool masks. Do you know where I can buy one?" "No, wait, I got way cooler masks than those. You want to see some of them?" Again, the sheer casualness of his nature surprised the Konoha nin. "Who are you?" one of the ANBU asked in a stoic voice. "Oh, me?" Naruto asked while smiling, and the ANBU merely stopped themselves from trying to dish out some lessons to the young man. "I'm a person. Generally termed as a human being. Did you know there's a language called Latin that is extinct and terms as homo? We asked for your name," one of the other ANBU said. The voice indicated clear irritation, and Naruto chuckled a bit. Boy, did he like messing with people. "Oh. You should have said that in the first place." "Uchiha Naruto." Naruto replied, and the ANBU looked a bit tense for some reason. Naruto guessed it was probably the whole mini Madara look that was making them a bit unnerved. "We've never seen you before in the village. Where did you come from?" the third ANBU asked. Naruto looked at them with a deadpan expression as if they were playing 20 questions with him. "Well, that's because I was never born in the village Einstein," Naruto said, and one of the ANBU's arms twitched. He smiled seeing that. Oh, how he missed making ANBU chase him as he pulled off one prank after another. Note to self, make sure to pull off a few pranks. "Do you know him from any previous encounters?" the last ANBU asked the Jounin and Chunin of Konoha. "No," Minato replied nearly immediately. "I haven't seen him before, and he claims that he was born outside the village and was strolling by when he found Kushina." Naruto looked at him with a light glare. "You may have been my genetic father and given me the Hiruzen, but I didn't. You were such a stingy little bitch. You are so getting your hair dyed pink, you flaky jerk," Naruto thought as he machinated some devious plans to get back at Minato. "Is it true, Uzumaki?" one of the ANBU asked. "Hi," Kushina replied instantly. "I was abducted by 5 Kumo Jounin, and Naruto-kun here killed them off and carried me here, as my legs were bruised from the sealed wire bindings." Kushina replied, and Naruto smiled at her words. "She's so nice. I just hope things don't get too awkward between us." "Ma, they already are," Naruto thought as he saw Kushina continuing her explanation. A strange thought crossed his mind. "Don't worry, this time I won't let anything happen to you. I swear on my life." Naruto finished his thoughts as he unconsciously tightened his grip on her a bit. The ANBU spoke once more. "I see. You will need to come back to the village with us." Naruto shrugged his shoulders. "I was planning to anyway. Goddamn Katon Jutsu burned down my house," Naruto said as Kushina giggled at his words. "Oh, it's not funny. Seriously, it was raining fire all over the place. Why didn't you use a Sueten Jutsu to take it out?" Kushina asked slyly, and Naruto narrowed his eyes at her. "Touché," Naruto said as Kushina was nodding her head at her victory. Minato, however, spoke up. He really wasn't liking how this whole thing was going. "We should get going, right, ANBU-san?" Minato said, sounding a bit too eager to get back. "Yes, we need to take you to the Hokage anyway," the ANBU said, and Naruto rolled out his tongue at Minato, whose sweat dropped at his action. Needless to say, the ANBU were amused. However, they were on their guard. The seemingly careless and casual, supposedly Uchiha, as they had yet to see the Sharingan despite Kushina saying that she saw him use it, young man before them was strong. Taking down 4 Jounin-level shinobi was no child's play. Then there was the man's appearance. He was strikingly similar to Uchiha Madara and even had a gunbai on his back. But the fact that he was behaving so un-Uchiha-like was surprising to them. Then all 7 of them were making their way back to the village hidden in the leaves. Naruto had a million Ryo smile on his face when Kushina asked him a question. "Do you like ramen by any chance?" Kushina asked curiously. "You have no idea," Naruto replied. Time skip. Half an hour later, Hidden Leaf main entrance, Konoha no Sato. Naruto walked through the gates of the village carrying the beautiful crimson-haired girl in his arms. It wasn't that late of night and people were still around going about their usual business. But now, that activity had been halted as their eyes darted off towards the newly arrived Uchiha. Some people, mostly shinobi mind you, who knew their history stepped away from the sight they were seeing. Uchiha Madara had returned to Konoha no Sato. It wasn't their fault really. Naruto's physical being entirety was dominated by the highly condensed Edo Tensei / imperfect reanimation fragments, which had perfectly blended with him. Naruto then idly pondered a thought. The story that Tobi, or rather Obito in disguise, had told him, how the sage of the 6 Pad sons had inherited his powers. The older had inherited the mental energy and his ocular powers, while the younger had inherited the body and his chakra. Their descendants came to be known as the Uchiha and the Senju, with the Uzumaki being cousins of the Senju. So in essence, Naruto was the bridge between the 2 powers. Did that make him the second sage of 6 paths? Or third because Obito had become the Jubi's Jinchuriki? It didn't matter, that shit wasn't going down anymore. He had gotten rid of all the deadly pieces on the board. The king was in sight and all Naruto needed to say was checkmate. Unless Konoha kicked him out and he'd have to find a new home. As much hate and resentment this place gave him, it was still home and he wouldn't change that for anything. Except the police force, that stupid commissioner really gave him quite the scolding each time he did get caught. Maybe he was here, and Naruto would get back at him. Naruto then realized something funny about the whole situation. So I am technically Madara, and here I am standing in the village with the Kyuubi and Kushina's soft stomach. Wait, soft? Naruto said. He then remembered grabbing her by her waist as his hand had rested on her belt. Indeed. Just because I liked it doesn't make me a pervert. In his defense, he had flirted with girls alright. Just not the ones from his village. The whole Jinchuriki thing really blew his chances with nearly any girl he found attractive. No, Sakura doesn't count because he knew she had eyes for the traitorous team. We will go to Hokage-sama's office from here. One of the ANBU said. You can leave Uzumaki here and one of us can take her to her home from here. Can Naruto-kun drop me off at my house? It's at the Senju Compound. You guys can accompany us. Kushina said as Minato sighed. He really thought he could drop off Kushina, but the Uzumaki was persistent on not being out of the sight of Naruto. I'll be going then. Minato said a bit sadly. You couldn't blame him, he had a crush on the girl for years and was now seeing her fall for another guy. Oh. See you later, Minato. Naruto said and Minato turned around a bit surprised. Minato was giving him the cold shoulder for a long time, yet the guy actually said goodbye to him? Sure. Bye, Kushina. Minato said as he left a bit confused. He sort of felt a bit guilty now. He had basically been greeted farewell despite suspecting Naruto the whole time. Bye, Minato. Kushina said as well. She then saw Minato fade off into the distance. She looked at Naruto and asked, well, why aren't we going? Well, I'm new here and I really don't know where the Senju blurred compound is. Naruto said as he unknowingly shuddered a bit while saying the word. Man, Madara really hated them. Geez. Naruto thought. Even saying that word felt like poison to him for some reason. But if he was himself, he knew he'd get over it. Besides, he couldn't possibly stay mad at Tsunade. She was far too precious to him. Sorry. Kushina said as she had a sheepish expression on her face. Naruto shook his head and chuckled a bit as Kushina gave him directions to it. Senju Clan Compound, deeper part of the northern forest, Konoha no Sato. Naruto was impressed. The compound was large to say the least. It was almost as large as the Hyuga Clan compound, though that was because they had the largest numbers in clan members in all of the Hidden Leaf, even more so than the Uchiha, as he remembered. Though he could never enter that place, the Uchiha clan were closely knit, and Naruto for his part didn't even know about the Senju Clan compound. According to Madara's memories, the Senju Clan compound had been located previously in the eastern section of Konoha, but now it had been relocated. The new compound was surrounded by 4 walls, making a large rectangle as a result. There were a lot of traditional old Shinto-style buildings around. But what took the cake for Naruto was the garden itself. There seemed to be life blooming in each flower, tree and blade of grass. Naruto remembered from Madara's memories that the entire forest surrounding the village were made by Hashirama himself. Him being a sage made him appreciate the vast comfort and peace that nature itself held, and Naruto was relishing in the sweet fragrances that were coming from the garden itself. Then he heard the voice of a boy cry out, Kushi-tan! A young boy yelled out who looked like was a year younger than Naruto at most. He had tan skin, short-length spiky brown hair and 2 permanent blush-like markings on his cheeks. The irides of his eyes were a combination between green and gray. For clothing he wore a dark teal poncho top and dark green pants. Naruto noted that he kind of resembled himself when he still had his own body. Then Naruto noticed something else. An accessory around his neck. A necklace with a very distinct outline and a green crystal acting as the centerpiece. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the necklace. Thankfully none of them noticed it as the concentration had gone as quickly as it had come. The Shodai's necklace. So this guy is obviously a Senju, but what's your name? Naruto thought as the man came nearer. The young man they accusingly pointed a finger at Naruto, as he looked a bit angry. Kushina merely sighed for what was coming next. You! The young man said, why are you carrying Kushi-tan like that? The young man said. He then had a look of horror on his face. Don't tell me. Noaki and I don't say anything. Stop. The worried Kushina could not finish as Noaki spoke up once more. Naruto for his part had a major sweat drop on his forehead, and realized who this was. Senju Noaki, Tsunade's younger brother, but he was supposed to be dead according to Naruto's knowledge. Alright. Different dimension. Fucking space-time continuum. Naruto thought in his mind. You took away Kushi-tan's innocence. Noaki all but screamed it out. Thank the log that the ANBU were stationed outside the compound, as the Nadeshiko-looking maid of the compound, Kiku as she said her name was, said that they cannot enter. Naruto was only given access as he was carrying Kushina, who was really adamant that he carried her all the way there. Not that Naruto minded that all. But now his mind was frozen at the implication that Noaki had made about him. Noaki and I! Kushina yelled as her face became as red, if not even redder than her deep crimson hair. She was also widely staring at him. Why do you always say these stupid things? So you're not denying it? Noaki said, and then miraculously he disappeared from their sight as they found him sulking in the corner with dark clouds hanging over him. Why, Kami, why did you make my precious Amuto lose her innocence? She was supposed to be a virgin until she got married, Noaki said as he cried very loudly. Kushina was red out of embarrassment this time. But for some reason she also imagined a shirtless Naruto. Well, from the muscles I can feel from here he bad Kushina. He just saved you. Stop acting like a fangirl. Kushina internally yelled. Naruto for his part was confused. Is that a regular thing? Naruto asked with a deadpan expression. He was really weirded out by what the fuck just happened. From Madara's memories it seemed that Hashirama also used to do the whole dark cloud thing. Apparently it was his comfort zone, then Naruto realized he used to do it as well. Hell, if given the chance he'd do it again. Then Noaki got up, only this time his eyes had fire burning in them. You, Noaki said as he was near them again. You will take responsibility for this. Who are you and how did you even think of doing something horrible like this? Noaki yelled once more, and this time he got afraid not of Naruto. No, definitely wasn't the Madara-looking Uchiha. It was the other person, whose hair for some reason was starting flow upwards all by itself. Noaki and Kushina said as she smiled and had a large tick mark on her forehead. Naruto for his part merely groaned, silently mind you, as he knew that righteousness of female fury was about to be unleashed on Noaki. You shouldn't say things that never happened. Is that clear? Noaki nodded furiously. Naruto sighed a bit. He really did not want to see his mother's weight, that's not right. He did not want to see the red-hot habanero's legendary temper. Sorry, Kushi-tan, Noaki said as he cried a bit and looked at Naruto this time a bit inquisitively. Say you look familiar, have I seen you before? I don't think so. I think I'd remember someone as energetic as you, Naruto said, and Kushina sighed. Nowaki's near bipolar behavior even weirded her out sometimes. Naruto then thought about introducing himself. My name is Uchiha Naruto, by the way. Eh? You're an Uchiha? Noaki said as he looked at him a bit more inquisitively. You look like An, but you're a bit, how do I say it? Yoram. Noaki was lost for words. Only a handful of Uchiha were generally social, and even that was rare. He was trying to say something that didn't offend his clan. I don't have that holier-than-thou mindset and that large stick up my ass. That's what were you going to say, right? Naruto said as he gave him Madara's legendary Uchiha glare. Even Kushina didn't like the way he glared at Noaki. Noaki for his part was a bit shocked at how this Naruto guy read his mind. Boy, was he pissed that he was even thinking this way about the Uchiha clan. Legendary anti-socialists or not, they still were one of the founding clans of the village, and they deserved such respect. If word got out that an implied insult was made to the Uchiha by the Senju heir no less, then the whole village would have a field day. Noaki needed to remedy this and apologize even though he didn't say anything. Naruto saw right through his thoughts. He needed to. Ha 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 ha. Naruto started laughing wholeheartedly. You should see the looks on your faces. Both Kushina and Noaki were astounded by this. And Uchiha made a joke and played them like fools. What in the world was going on? They were merely staring at the Uzumaki-turned Uchiha with wide eyes and slack jaws. Naruto said as he stopped laughing. No need to look at me like that. Just because nearly everyone in my clan is an S-rank douchebag doesn't mean I am, Naruto said as if it was the most casual thing in the world. Hee. Noaki laughed a bit at his words. Man, you really are different than them. Hard to believe you're really an Uchiha. Naruto-kun is just like that, Noaki and I. Kushina said zealously, and Noaki had another look on his face. Naruto-kun, any, Noaki said as he had his hand under his chin. He then gave a teasing grin to Kushina. Ma Kushi-tan. Didn't you already like Naruto here? TT, that's not true at all. Kushina said, and Naruto decided to join in on the fun. Kushina-chan. Naruto said with fake hurt emotions in his voice. You don't like me at all. Maybe I should just leave and let Noaki here take you from here. No. I didn't mean it like that. Please don't leave me, Databane, Kushina said and tightened her grip on him. Noaki was giggling at his sister-in-law, but blood. I was just kidding, Benihime-chan, Naruto said, bringing up her nickname that got quite the cute reactions out of her. Anyways, I don't want to keep the ANBU waiting that long. Which house do you live in? That one by the lake. Kushina mumbled out while pink stains were on her cheek. Naruto was quite the tease, and Noaki for his part could not believe his eyes as he thought about it while Kushina explained what happened to her. How she blew her gasket, went outside the village, got kidnapped, got saved, and now she was here. Good Kami. Someone has tamed Kushi-tan. Wait, if they're married I won't have an Amuto anymore. Noaki cried, anime tears as they flowed out of his eyes like a river, and Naruto looked at him before walking away. As he arrived at the house, he saw that Kiku was already there. Kiku was wearing a full-body kimono as the top was white and the bottom was red. She had deep black hair and brown eyes. She was beautiful, that much was sure. She was standing at the porch of the house. Still, something about the whole situation reminded Naruto of something. A somebody. It seemed all too familiar. Thank you for bringing Kushina all the way here, Uchiha-san, Kiku said as she bowed her head a little. The lack of honorific to Kushina made Naruto assume that she really wasn't a maid anymore. Probably a relative. But the whole situation felt like a déjà vu to Naruto. He couldn't put his finger on it. She then looked at Kushina and gave her an inquisitive stare. Kushina, what did I tell you about controlling your temper? Kiku said with all the authority an older sister has over her younger. To control it more. Kushina replied in mumbles, but all of them heard it. Kiku-chan. Noaki said as he had a sweat drop on his head. How about we let Amuto rest a bit? She looks like she was tired. Besides, she needs it any? Noaki finished. Kiku looked at Noaki for some time before sighing. Fine. Go and rest up, Kushina. I will come later to help you change up and bring some food, Kiku said, and both residents of the compound sighed in relief while Naruto stared on in confusion as to what was going on. The black-haired woman noticed this and spoke to him. Is there something I can help you with, Uchiha-san? Please call me Naruto. Naruto said and continued. I was just wondering who you were, that's all. Kushina beamed up as she wanted to explain. Oh, that's Kikune-chan. She's Noaki and Ai's wife. They got married a few days ago. Kushina said, and Naruto for his part was a bit stumbled but didn't show it. Things were really different here. He was not sure what to think right now. Not only was Noaki alive, but he was also married. Said husband of questionable marriage was blushing at the statement, as he scratched his back in a similar fashion Naruto used to. Kiku for her part tried to keep a stoic face, but the faint pink marks on her cheeks said otherwise. I see. Sorry for my lack of disrespect, Kiku-san. Naruto said, and Noaki looked at the Uchiha with some hope. Naruto, why don't you call me Noaki-san as well? Noaki said hopefully. Naruto was a different Uchiha, he just might make him call him Noaki-san. Instead Naruto looked at him with dead fish eyes. Because unlike you, she isn't an overly attached siscon. Naruto said, and Nowaki's frame turned white before shattering as he returned to the comfort zone. Kiku merely nodded at Naruto's words. Kushina for her part merely looked at her brother figure in pity. He then went forward as he opened the sliding door and saw Kushina's room. There was a large futon lying around in the middle of the floor and a wardrobe at the corner of the room. There was a picture framed at the top of it. Naruto would look at it later. He gently placed Kushina on the futon and looked around for a bit. There were several scrolls in various sizes at the corner of the room and more shinobi gear at another. Naruto saw that Kushina was flexing her legs and feet. She recovered rather quickly. Ah, perks of being a Jinchuriki. Naruto thought as he remembered his experiences. Right now he had chakra from all the bijou, but not having consciousness of the beasts didn't allow him to have a bijou mode/tailed beast mode. However, he made it up for it with the Mokuton. Madara had meticulously written down each and every detail of the famed Kekkai Genkai/bloodline limit of the first Hokage. However, the reaction of Hashirama's cells had an adverse effect on his body as he was not a natural heir of the line, so he could only master a few of the jutsu. Naruto, however, due to his Uzumaki heritage, had the cells bond with him perfectly. Naruto not only had his chakra along with the unmoderated mass amounts of chakra of the bijou, but he also had Madara's vast pools of chakra along with his perfect control. Boy, was Naruto glad he was OP as shit right now. So Kushina-chan, I guess I'll see you later. That is if the Hokage allows me to stay here. Naruto said the last part with a pout. Kushina for her part actually realized the severity of the situation. All things considered, she was a Jinchuriki, and one of the last full-blooded Uzumaki alive. Naruto was a shinobi from no particular village and had conveniently saved her from the Kumo shinobi at the right time. Normally she'd suspect anyone under those circumstances, but with Naruto there was a sense of calm and peace around him. Like she'd known him for years. I can go and tell Jiji to keep you here. He'll surely listen to me. Kushina said, and Naruto laughed lightly at her title for the third. It was the same thing he had called Sarutobi Hiruzen when he was younger. Then Naruto smiled. He would get to see the old man again. As a child he had very few close people. Hiruzen was undoubtedly one of them. The old man tried to make time for Naruto whenever he could. He was, for the lack of a better term, his adopted grandson. Even Konohamaru told him so. It's alright, Kushina-chan, Naruto said as he smiled. Something tells me things will work out for me, Naruto said. He only hoped that the old man would take him in. He did have a kind heart, but the man was the third Hokage for a reason, and he lived through 3 wars, winning each of them. One could only hope. Wait, I think I'll go with you. Kushina tried to get up, but Naruto stopped her as he put his hands on her shoulders and calmly looked at her. No. I didn't carry you all the way here just so you could get tired again. Naruto decided to do something. Something that Itachi did to him at the 4th Great Ninja War, as he explained Kodohama Tsukumi to him. Naruto extended his index finger and middle finger, poking her forehead gently, and smiled. Maybe you can go with me there next time, Beneheim-chan, Naruto said as he smiled warmly at her. Kushina for her part looked away. At that moment he truly looked too good. Get well soon. Ja-ne, Naruto said as he disappeared in a smokeless, futon, Shunshin/wind style, body flicker. Kushina for her part couldn't even say goodbye as she hugged her knees. Baka, Kushina said as Noaki suddenly popped up outside her door. That Yuru. I'll teach him to not wait for Minamoto's goodbye. Noaki yelled out in pain in the middle of his monologue as Kiku dragged her husband by his ear. Kushina's sweat dropped. This was her situation. She shuddered to think what Tsunade went through when Noaki was in his sis-con mode. Outside Senju Clan compound, Konoha no Sato. Yo! Naruto said as he appeared at the gate of the compound. Sorry I'm late. Met a few interesting people. Let's go. Hokage-sama is waiting. The ANBU leader who was wearing a dog mask said. As they silently strolled through the town part towards the tower, Naruto decided to get rid of the awkward silence. So, Naruto said, you guys are a team, huh? Okay. You guys got any hobbies? Silence is golden, huh? Naruto asked. Why you guys need to work on your people skills? Naruto said as he looked at them with one wide eye. Kamadamit, say something. Naruto yelled out indignantly. Something. The cat wearing raven-haired ANBU said. Clearly she was a woman. Now be quiet, Mao. Just when one of you started to talk. Naruto said. A faint aroma then entered his nose as he smelled starch being cooked. Oh yes. I smell ramen, you can go there later. The dog bearer said. Killed you. Naruto said. Hokage's office, Hokage Tower, Konoha no Sato, Sarutobi Hiruzen. The Sandame Hokage. The professor. Student of Senju Tobarama the Nidame Hokage and Hashirama the Shodai Hokage, a kind-hearted man with the mind of a perfect shinobi. He was considered the perfect blend between Hashirama's warm nature and Tobarama's cold mind. As such he is one of the people who are befitting of the title of Hokage. Not many shinobi exist on the planet that could match Hiruzen, even now. He was a leader first and a shinobi second. He would give his life for the people of this village, and do it with a smile on his face. He had spiky dark, brown hair and some lines near his eyes. His hair had prominent wisps of gray signaling the years and countless experiences he had been through, and not many people can claim that they had those let alone have the courage to live through some of the events he had. He also had tan skin and was currently wearing his Hokage robes as he had finished a grueling bout with his greatest enemy. His hat was currently resting on the desk as his face showed some signs of wrinkling. Paperwork, the bane of all Kage. However, an incident today had made him stressful. Uzumaki Kushina, one of the last living Uzumaki and more importantly a shinobi of his village, had been kidnapped from the outskirts of Konoha. On top of that she was the second Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. She was a weapon in every sense of the word, but Hiruzen had gone out of his way to make sure that she lived a normal life unlike most Jinchuriki do. Thankfully most of the general populace of the village were unaware that the mightiest of the tailed beasts was housed among them and one of the most cheerful person of the village. He had stopped his former teammate Shimura Danzo from taking the young girl into his unit known as Root so that she doesn't become a mindless tool. As unorthodox Danzo's methods were, he was an asset. His foundation, as he called it, had some of the elite ANBU of the village and more than once they had proved their worth in some of the most controversial wet works they had deployed. Danzo was a necessary evil, but Hiruzen always made sure that he was a necessary evil to those outside the village. Hiruzen would be damned if he let Danzo get his claws into Kushina. A few moments ago he had received news that ANBU Delta Squad had returned along with Namake's Minato who had rushed out to save his fellow Konoha nin, but Hiruzen knew that the young blonde-haired prodigy harbored feelings for the red-haired habanero. But the other piece of info was also interesting. Uzumaki Kushina had returned relatively harmless, but was in the arms of someone. Naturally he assumed that Minato had taken care of whoever had kidnapped her, but alas it was someone else. Apparently the man had raven hair that came down to his back and had a gun strapped to his back as well. One of his ANBU from the Sigma squad who had reported them returning into the village had even said that he had seen the symbol of the Uchiha Clan's iconic fan symbol on his back. Hiruzen, after getting the description, was a bit worried. He knew only one other person who matched that description. At least the ANBU didn't say that the man carrying Kushina had a kusa in his hand, otherwise the third Hokage would have to issue wartime protocol. Then there was a knock on his door as he was wrung out of his thoughts. Yes? Hiruzen asked. Delta Squad here with the unknown variable reporting Hokage-sama. The voice of Inu came. I have a name you know. Another voice said, only it was never heard on his ears before. It must have been the unknown claimed Uchiha. Come in. Hiruzen said and the door opened. To ANBU Inu and Nico, please note the irony here, entered first as another figure entered just behind them followed by Tori and Hide. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes widened as he took in the appearance of the young man before him. The same hair, only style a bit different. Uchiha combat robes and even had the same legendary gunbai on his back. The face was near identical with only small differences. That Hiruzen knew as he had seen the person before in his life when he was much younger. In front of the Sandame Hokage stood a much younger version of Uchiha Madara. He stood with his arms crossed in the stance he had often seen him in. However, there was a large difference. This version of a younger Uchiha Madara was smiling. That was a very disturbing image in his mind. Uchiha Madara does not smile. The only times he heard from the two Hokage that Madara smiled would be a very rare case or was enjoying one of his dances. For an old man you look really young, Naruto said, and this caught Hiruzen completely off guard. An Uchiha acting a bit casual like that and trying to be friendly no less. Absurd. Do not speak to Hokage-sama like that. Inu barked. I did not mean to write that. Naruto looked away with an annoyed expression while mumbling something about stuck-up ANBUs. Hiruzen recomposed himself and spoke. I see. I am not that old firstly. Hiruzen said, and Naruto snickered at his words. But who are you? I've never seen you before. Right. I forgot. About that, can we talk alone? It's kind of personal. Naruto said, and Hiruzen calculated the whole thing. The man was young. Even though he resembles Madara, he does not behave anything like him. His aura seemed to be perfectly calm as Hiruzen sensed it. Plus, would anyone dare to pull off something stupid in the Hokage Tower? Of course not. I see. Delta Squad, you may step outside. Your mission has been completed. Submit me the written report tomorrow. Sarutobi said as he brought out his pipe. Years of instinct told him he'd be needing it right now. Hi Hokage-sama. The four ANBU said as they began to leave the room. Naruto decided to say goodbye to them. See you later Inu, Nico, Tori, Hibi. Naruto said, still trying to see if he could deliberately mess with them. It had been so long since he had been carefree. As of this moment, he had no burdens on his shoulders. Unless the Hokage wanted to assign him a 10-year mission for shits and giggles, though he doubts the old man, now a slightly younger old man would do that to him. You may have a seat, young man. Hiruzen said, and Naruto unstrapped his gunbai and kept it by the desk, though he did not discard the katana that was hanging by the obi of his hip. Naruto was curiously gazing around the office, to see if there were any large differences in the office he remembered walking into several times too many times. There were not many notable differences, and hopefully this time there won't be a sake bottle and saucer on the desk. He loved Tsunade, but she really needs to cut off from such vast amounts of the alcohol. Firstly, you have me utmost thanks for saving one of my kunoichi. Kushina-chan is one of the most promising shinobi we have, and I would be lying if I said I am not grateful to you. Sarutobi said and smoked his pipe. His emotions unreadable, but Naruto also had Madara's sensory perception and found no ill will in the slightly younger old man. Well, this is going better than I thought. Maybe, just maybe, Murphy won't fuck. Naruto's pleasant and hopeful train of thought was instantly derailed. However, Sarutobi paused as he began to release the smoke into the airspace of his office. Murphy, when I find you, I'll fucking kill you. I'll kill anyone named Murphy. Naruto thought in his mind. Your appearance was timed too well. You appeared and killed 5 Jounin level Kumo shinobi who apprehended Kushina, who herself is no pushover. And top of that, you have the Uchiha symbol on your back. So let me get straight to the point. Sarutobi paused before asking the question he had been asking himself for some time now. Who are you and where did you come from? Phew. Naruto said as he released a sigh of comfort. Here, I thought you'd already be assigning me missions. My name is Uchiha Naruto, and I was born in Ta no Kuni. Do you have any proof that you are an Uchiha? Sarutobi said. What he meant to say was, show me your Sharingan. And Naruto did just that as his onyx eyes turned to crimson, and a fully matured Sharingan could be seen as Sarutobi eyed the 3 Tomo intently on those blood-red eyes. I see. Sarutobi said and spoke once more. Who were your parents? What were their names? Uchiha Izuna and Kazama Suki. Naruto replied. I know my dad was born outside the village, and my mother was a civilian. Uchiha Izuna? Sarutobi said the name intently as he remembered hearing that name from the Nidaime Hokage, whose rival from the Uchiha clan shared the same name, the brother of the most powerful Uchiha in existence. Was it a coincidence this boy's father shared the same name? Hi. My father was named after my grandfather's brother, Naruto said as he was suppressing a smirk. The reaction would be priceless. If only the old man was older, how he would have relished this moment. And just who was your grandfather? Sarutobi asked as he waited for the answer. The man sitting before him resembled that man too much, and if looks in accordance to the boy's age were anything to go by, then he was right on the money. My grandfather, Naruto said as he looked at the Sandaime Hokage and had a completely blank expression on his face. It showed no cracks, only boredom and a state of blank emptiness. You probably know him. I passed by his statue a few hours ago. You do remember him, correct? He used to refer to you as Tobirama's little monkey. Naruto said as Sarutobi's eyes widened. The nickname was given to him by the boy's grandfather, all right. Naruto then spoke once more. My grandfather was one of the co-founders of this village. He later betrayed the village and fought the Shodai Hokage at the Valley of the End, changing the maps forever. He lost as well. Hashirama-sama had thought he killed his one true equal in combat. He was wrong. My grandfather survived his death battle against the god of shinobi and later settled down, realizing that there was no point in wanton revenge. He had son, and then I was born as his grandson. Naruto said as he prepared to pin the final nail in the coffin as Sarutobi's answers narrowed down to one conclusion over and over again. My grandfather was Uchiha Madara. A small noise could be heard as the wooden pipe fell from the slightly younger old man's mouth. It then fell onto the ground, creating said noise. Sarutobi had a strange expression as his jaw was slightly hung. One that clearly indicated surprise, shock, and awe. Here sitting before him was the grandson of the man who rivaled Senju Hashirama. Kami, I wish I had a camera. Naruto thought as he still kept his face blank, or as he liked to call it, Madara face. He then looked at the Sandaime again and spoke up. He died a few years ago when I was around 13. He said he wanted to come back here one last time. He realized late in his life that he had lost something precious to him. He could have had a peaceful life, but his unbridled hatred got the better of him. In many ways, the village represented the one thing he had been running away from his entire life. Peace. He had known death and war so much that peace had become a foreign and dangerous concept to him. As a child growing up in the warring states, I'm sure you know what he meant, Sandame-sama. Naruto said, breaking old man Sarutobi out of his daze. I see. Sarutobi said. So Madara-sama really is dead. Sama? Excuse me for asking, but why do you honor my Aji-san with such an honorific? Surely he left quite a bad taste here in all of Konoha's residents' mouths. Naruto said, time can change and heal many things. Uchiha Madara, as you said, had also changed. Though he was an enemy of the village, that does not mean I did not respect him. When we were growing up, he was the most powerful shinobi along with Hashirama-sama. Tobirama-sensei himself had mass amounts of respect for Madara, even though he clearly disliked him. Sarutobi said, and Naruto was chuckling a bit. It seemed strange to Hiruzen that a young-looking Madara clone was laughing. Honestly, it felt like some kind of genjutsu. A very good one, sorry. It's just after all the things he said, you can't expect me to not react to it in a strange way. Naruto said, and had a warm smile on his face. Watching his surrogate grandfather again had brought a familial sense of nostalgia in him, and that followed by one of his speeches. Naruto would never deny it. The old man had a large hand in him being raised. The Yandame was his hero as a child, but it was the Sandame's teachings that had molded his path as a shinobi. So I wanted to ask you something. Will it be okay if I join the village? Naruto asked quite straightforwardly. Hiruzen merely observed the young man before him. He seemed so calm, as if he was visiting an old friend or something. And why would you want to join our village? Surely you understand that a lot of people might end up hating you. You are after all the grandson of Madara, Sarutobi said as he took a puff out of his smoking pipe and exhaled it. The emitted smoke danced around in the air before slowly rising up to disappear. Will you be able to bear it? Who can say? Naruto asked as he was still smiling. Besides, I don't think they'll hate me that much. If anything, a lot of people would be jealous. I can vouch for that. A voice said as both shinobi saw someone standing at the door. He was wearing a full-sleeved dark kimono as well. He had unruly spiky hair that was raven, but slowly as he got nearer his aged features could be seen as well. He too had aging streaks of gray in his hair. He had onyx eyes and a build that was surprisingly fit for someone his age. However, he did walk with a slight limp. I can already see a few clan members being jealous of you, the man said with a small smile. So you came. Sorry for calling you so late. But if you heard everything, which I think you did, you know what the situation is. Hiruzen said. Yes. Quite an interesting turn of events. Ones that we'll remember at Hiruzen? The man asked as he took a seat and took a good look at Naruto, who looked at him with one of his stares as if Naruto's eyes are closed. The man after a few seconds stopped. Yeah. You do look a lot like your grandfather. Scary, really. The fact that you're being cheerful is a bit weird too, the man said. Naruto pretty much realized the man was an Uchiha, but he didn't know who it was. From Madara's memories, all he knew was that he had seen this guy before, only he was a kid back then. Ag-san, Naruto said informally as he pointed a finger at Kagami. Who are you? Said man had chuckled at the title he was given. You're a strange one, aren't you? The man said, and Naruto pouted a bit at his words. How was he weird? But to answer your question, my name is Uchiha Kagami, current clan head of the Uchiha Clan. Kagami introduced himself. Naruto realized that this guy was technically his superior. So deserved the greeting Naruto gave to his superiors. Yo! Naruto said as he nonchalantly waved his hand at the war veteran Uchiha. Hiruzen this time had to chuckle a bit at his behavior. The other two people looked at him immediately. Sorry. It's just weird seeing a smaller version Madara-sama behaving like that, Hiruzen said. He was always scary when we saw him. Yeah. I mean, if he looked at you, it felt like he was going to kill you at times. Kagami added with a sweat drop on his head. Honestly, it was just weird being around him. No offense, young one, but he wasn't exactly socially amiable. Trust me, I know what you mean, Naruto said with a sigh. As he had traveled through the dimensional gap, he saw several versions of himself in different dimensions. In one of them he was raised by Madara, and he remembered that scene perfectly. One time when I was 8 and I got a kata wrong with the interceptor fist, he said I need to work on it to the point of perfection. I said it was good enough. Next thing I know, he was hitting me with the blunt end of his kusa. That's kind of extreme, Hiruzen said as he imagined Madara beating someone like that. It was amusing. Oh, that's nothing. I called him an old goat once. Man, he unleashed a full-scale katan jutsu just to get back at me. Hell, he even trapped me in a genjutsu, making me watch the events of the warring states, Naruto said, and this time both shinobi had cringed a bit. They were still children when the warring states had ended, but even they had lost a certain amount of family to that horrible time. Well, I really don't want to know what else he did, so let's leave it at that, Kagami said and looked at Hiruzen, giving him the approval look. Don't worry, Hiruzen. Looks like everything will work out from here. Your job is to handle the council. Will you reveal his heritage? It will be revealed sooner or later. So might as well get that done sooner. We have a meeting tomorrow anyway, so it will be made public knowledge there, Hiruzen said. If we're lucky, people will just accept him. Don't worry about the civilians. It's the others you have to worry about. Kagami said, and the Sandaime knew exactly who the others were. His advisors, more like the parasites of power. Naruto then raised his voice. He needed to get this out of his system. GG. Naruto said unknowingly out of habit, and immediately put his hands on his mouth as Hiruzen looked at him in an amused fashion. Gomen. That came out wrong. Naruto said as he scratched the back of his head. It's alright, but I am not that old. Hiruzen. It was enough that Kushina had called him that. A mini Madara calling him that would just be too strange to comprehend. Now Hiruzen. Denial is a horrible stage. You should admit that you are growing older. Kagami said, and Naruto actually smiled at that. Almighty log. You have blessed me with an Uchiha associate who doesn't have giants stick up thy ass. Naruto thought dramatically in his mind. No way was he letting this chance get by. Jisen, you aren't any younger, you know? Naruto said as he looked at Kagami, who face faulted at his words. On top of that, you call Gigi old. In fact, you're just as old as Gigi. I'm not that old. Both Kagami and Hiruzen said at the same time. Ma. Denial is a horrible stage. Naruto said, giving Kagami his own medicine. Naruto's eyes then darted towards the stack of paperwork. It wasn't there before. He pointed a finger at the paperwork and asked, where did that come from? Son of a, Hiruzen nearly cursed but restrained. I just finished an entire stack before you came here. Where did this even come from? Wow, you weren't kidding when you said the paperwork is always there. Kagami said as he eyed the fat stack of paperwork. This is going to take forever to finish. Hiruzen said as he slumped on his chair, as desolation filled him. Naruto was smiling at this and decided to play a power move. Actually, it won't take that long. Naruto said as both Kagami and Hiruzen looked at him in surprise. I have a method to solve your problem too. Then out of nowhere a Konoha Hittite landed on his lap as Hiruzen held him up by the collar and shook him violently. You're a shinobi of Konoha now. What's the answer? What is it? What's the solution? Give it to me. Give it to me now. Your Hokage demands you, Hiruzen comically yelled as he kept shaking Naruto, and Kagami got up with a deadpan expression. Give me your solution to erasing this wretched existence known as paperwork. Hiruzen, don't you think you're overreact? Kagami didn't get to finish. Of course not. Hiruzen yelled. It's always there. No matter how many I finish, there's always more coming in. Naruto then regained some of his direction and spoke. Whoa, calm down, Gigi. Naruto said as he took a few steps back. He remembered Tsunade reacting like this as well, when he gave her the trick to solving stacks of paperwork in a short amount of time. Well, normally I'd say burn the whole shebang with a cat-on jutsu, but since they're important you could always do it, and not do it at the same time. What do you mean by that? Hiruzen asked. It seemed that all Hokage were dense when it came to solving their natural enemies. Simple, really. But I expect a favor after this. Naruto said, and Hiruzen replied, of course, but nothing too extreme. The Sandaime said, eager at the prospect of a solution to this. Alright then, here it is. Are you ready? Naruto asked. Yes. Hiruzen replied. I couldn't hear you. I asked you, are you ready? Naruto asked a bit louder. Yes, I am. Hiruzen said, matching the enthusiasm. I said, are you ready? Naruto asked, more like yelled. Yes, god damn it, what is it? Hiruzen asked. Naruto toned down the hype and raised his index finger. Kage Bunshin / Shadow Clones, Naruto said as Hiruzen and Kagami looked at him for some time before their eyes widened. The memory relay system was there. As Hiruzen began to celebrate in his office, Naruto along with Kagami leading him made their way out of the office. While leaving they swore monkeys cheering and yelling in joy from the office. Main town, Konohagakure no Sato. You really aren't paying attention to them, are you? Kagami asked him, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. I kind of got used to it. Naruto said as he saw that so many girls were looking at him with hearts in their eyes. At least they weren't asking for his babies yet. That was terrifying. Still scares me though. You're afraid of girls? Kagami asked with a sly smile. I fear fangirls. Naruto replied. Seriously, they are so rapey sometimes. Didn't you have any when you were younger, Ji-san? He shuddered at the memories of those girls. Kagami also felt a cold sweat running down his spine. Kohara and a dozen full of girls used to bother him a lot when he was younger. It seemed that the Uchiha were cursed with bane of fangirls. Don't worry. I know you will get through it. Kagami said with a strained smile. This boy is fucked. He might be literally too, so Ji-san. How are things in the clan? Are we dark, brooding and uncaring as usual? Naruto asked carelessly as Kagami could only smirk at his words. He was right. I'm surprised you know that not staying in the village. Kagami said. Aji-san told me that his behavior was perfectly normal like the other Uchiha. I suffered from nightmares like that. Naruto said. Thankfully Tsunade and I weren't like that. How did your Tsunade not turn out like Madara-sama? I mean, surely he must have tried to get you and your father to behave like him. Kagami asked. Bachan and Ka-chan were scary women. Naruto said as he imagined the amount of female fury he had endured in his life. Nearly all the women in his life were anti-perverts, and thus his mindset was very careful around them. He was a closet pervert, he wouldn't deny that. Hell, it wasn't until he returned to the village after Jiraiya's training trip that he started to appreciate the beauty that is a woman's body. He was no virgin. Jiraiya made sure that he returned as a man, not a boy. Wait, since this is a new body, Naruto thought inside his mind as his eyes gleamed, does that mean I've been rehymenated? Yeah, that makes sense. Kagami said as he thought about his wife Mikasa. She was known as one of the proverbial ice queens of Konoha, beautiful girls who were unapproachable because of their cold attitude. Naruto looked at his expression and slyly smiled, knowing full well what sort of problem the old man was in. My awesome sixth sense is telling me that you are, wait for it, Naruto said, keeping the clan head in suspense. Whipped. HN. Kagami delivered the traditional grunt. One day, brat. One day you too will be whipped. HN. Naruto grunted, showcasing proof that he is a true Uchiha. As if that will ever happen. Oh, the poor bastard didn't even know what lies next in store for him. Naruto's temporary room, Uchiha Clan main household, Uchiha Clan compound, Konohagakure no Sato. Nice place, old man. Naruto said, making Kagami's eyebrow twitch in annoyance. Gray, gray and more gray. I mean, Kami forbid you trying to liven the place up with a bit of color. Really, brat? Kagami said, and this time Naruto's eyebrow twitched. And what great color does the mighty Naruto-sama deem worthy of this abode? The color of the gods, of course. Naruto said as he took a dramatic pose as tears leaked out of joy. Orange. Orange? Why in six paths is orange the color of the gods? Kagami asked. It's too attention-grabbing. And bright, not to mention some people could be blinded by that color. You fools do not understand the sacred place the color orange holds. It is a color that strikes fear into the hearts of men. It makes the enemy run back in fear. Naruto said. Yeah, from being blind. Kagami quipped. Forget about it. Old coots like you wouldn't understand the mightiness of such a holy color. Naruto said as he unsealed an orange scarf with square-like patterns on it. Orange is the new black, old man. Believe it. I don't believe it. Kagami said. Kill the non-believer. Naruto yelled and was whipping the scarf around like a lasso. You too shall embrace the natural beauty of orange after you wear it, over my dead body. Only people who have a death wish wear orange. Kagami said. Both activated their Sharingan as they prepared to duel out their beliefs. Gray versus orange. What is going on here? A slightly old woman around Kagami's age entered the room and asked the question. Her old age hadn't affected her beauty that much, and she was dumbfounded finding both grown men in fighting stances. This was Uchiha Mikasa, wife of Kagami and the current matriarch of the Uchiha Clan. The two had worked very hard to get rid of the old circus of buffoons known as the elders of the Uchiha Clan. Life was a bit better now, though changing genetic behavior of most Uchiha would take time. However, her husband walked into their house today with handsome young man today, a man who resembled Uchiha Madara a lot. Turns out this was his grandson, but he had nice manners, a warm smile on his face, and called her Oba-san. Kagami had gotten angry at him, and was going to say something, but his wife had stopped, and gave him a comical verbal lashing for behaving so erratic with him. While this happened, Naruto was stuck his tongue out, and pulled his own eyelid to taunt Kagami further. Now she walked in to see her husband acting like a man-child once more. Kagami-kun, Mikasa said. What is wrong with you? Going after Naruto-kun like that again, Oba-san. He called me a degenerate. Naruto said, lying instantly on spot with Kagami staring with wide eyes. He then goaded me into fighting with him, Oba-san. Why, you little, Kagami said as he wanted to strangle the life out of him, but lo and behold, Mikasa stood in front of Naruto as she put her hands on her hips and looked down at her husband. Kagami-kun, why are you doing all this? The boy is tired, and top of that he is our guest. Stop lashing out against him, Mikasa said. Mika-chan, believe me. He's a liar. A no-good, double-crossing, two-faced Kagami was going to finish, but once more Naruto took the chance. He said even worse things, Oba-san. Naruto said as he made his best attempt to replicate the puppy eyes no jutsu he used to pull off when he made the women realize that Jiraiya was the only one peeping on them. Good times. He said if I told you about this he'd kick me out of the house and take away my gunbai. That's all I have left of my parents, Naruto said as he summoned fake tears to roll out of his eyes. In reality, he was using Suidan to make those water droplets appear near his eyes. Oh, the beauties of chakra control. And seeing the look on Mina's face, Naruto had only one thought in mind. Mahaha. Hook, line and sinker. Your move, old man. Naruto inwardly grinned as he wiped off the fake tears to emphasize his apparent pain. That's it, you little lying piece of. Kagami this time felt the temperature of the room drop. Mikasa had activated her Sharingan, and was condescendingly looking at Kagami. The clan head knew he had lost this round to the brat. Then Mikasa turned to Naruto as she handed him some towels and yukata. It was light blue in color. Here you go, Naruto-kun, Mikasa said with a smile. Go and take a shower or use the personal bathhouse just outside to the east if you feel like it. You must be a bit tired and hungry, right? Hi, Oba-san. Arigato, Naruto said as he bowed his head a little. Still, he couldn't just let Kagami get away with insulting the color orange. You're just as kind and warm as my Ka-chan was. Oh no, Kagami thought with fear in his heart. He saw his wife ruffling his hair as he laughed a bit. He's brought her over to his side. Ah. You're such a kind boy, Naruto-chan. Mikasa said, and Naruto feigned surprise, which she fell for. Do you mind me calling you that? No. It's alright. Ka-chan and Ba-chan used to call me that too. Naruto said as gave his wicked foxy smile. No. Kagami thought. He's bringing out her motherly instincts. Curse you, Uchiha Naruto. Kagami thought as he knew his wife would chew him out, and then hell's bells rang as Naruto stepped out of the room smirking. Mikasa turned around and looked at her husband. Now let's talk, any Kagami-kun? Mikasa said as Kagami merely gulped. Sometime later, private bathhouse, Uchiha main household area, Uchiha Clan compound, Konoha no Sato. That feels good. Naruto said as he sat in the bath. He didn't have a towel wrapped around his waist, instead he kept it around his shoulder. He had tied his hair up so that it doesn't get too wet from the hot bath. He had to take care of his hair after all. Madara had often gone out of his way to keep his glorious mane in good condition. Naruto looked down at the clear water as his stress of the day was going up with the steams. Well, at least everything didn't change. Naruto said as he looked down at little Naruto. Looks like I still have my blessing with me. No thoughts about that now, Naruto said as his mind wandered off to Kushina. He was now in a conflict of thoughts. I know, she isn't my mother anymore. I mean, we're not even related. Still, is it wrong? Naruto thought as his mind wandered off to the beautiful crimson-haired princess of the Uzumaki clan. She looked so peaceful in his arms, and that damned adorable look she gave him whenever he talked with her. He unknowingly smiled. What was it that Sakura said? Daughters end up marrying clones of their fathers. Well, in my case it's me liking an alternate version of my mother. Naruto thought. Thoughts then went over to how she was a Jinchuriki, and really did not share the burden with anyone. Sure, she lived in the Senju clan and had people who liked her outside. Noaki was the annoying older brother, while Kiku was the strict older sister, and he guessed Tsunade was something along those lines. Then he remembered how the version of her died in his world. He had iron will in his resolve as he made up his mind. I won't let anything happen to you this time. I promise that. Naruto thought as his well-toned body relaxed in the warm waters. Uchiha Clan main household, Uchiha Clan compound, Konoha no Sato. The Nico mask-wearing ANBU had changed to her regular clothing at ANBU headquarters. This was her last mission. She had joined 2 years ago, when she was 15 for the experience, as she had been a chunin for 2 years before that. However, some of the missions of the ANBU were rather too dark even for her. It slowly affected her, and she had made her mind up quite some time ago to resign from there and become a Jounin. After filing the application a long time ago, to date her career as an ANBU had ended and she would begin on her path as a Jounin. She was now entering her home as we take in her appearance. She had silky tresses of raven-colored hair that came down all the way to her back. She had a beautiful fair skin that a slight olive color to it. Her face was shaped in such a way that men would stare at her for long amounts of time. Her body had all the curves in all the right places as her black shirt and black pants clinged to her body. Her curves naturally rivaled those of a certain red-haired beauty. Her onyx eyes had a genuine sense of warmth in them as she heard the undignified amount of yelling coming out. It was her mother's voice scolding a certain someone. "Tusen, what have you done now?" the girl thought as she heard another voice. "Nasen, you're back." The voice of younger boy said. Said boy was around 6 or 7. He also had raven black hair and his was smooth as he kept it tied up in a ponytail. He was wearing a short-sleeved white shirt and gray shorts as he greeted his sister. "Hey here, Bayaka-chan." The former ANBU operative said, and said boy grumbled at her words. She loved teasing her little brother, he even had a large temper on him too. "How was the academy today, Nei-san?" Young Byakuya, second born of Kagami and Mikasa, whined out. "I told you not to call me that." "And the academy was boring as usual." "How was your day today?" "Interesting," the young woman replied. She was also like her parents in terms of behavior. Generally kind and nice to people, the complete antithesis of the usual Uchiha. She remembered today's events as if it happened a few hours ago. Actually it did, but that's not the point. She did have friends, and one of them happened to be a very bubbly and cheerful redhead, who she could dare to call her best friend, even though she was a whole year younger than him. She had been kidnapped today and was returned to by a younger-looking Madara clone. The boy was handsome, and the way he carried Kushina in his arms all the while making her comfortable, made her a tad bit jealous of her friend. She had also seen the look on Minato's face. Even though he was younger, the woman knew he was a splendid shinobi. The way the boy cared about her made her feel a bit weird and giddy how two complete strangers actually interacted like that. Her fate had been sealed some time ago. An arranged marriage between her and the police commissioner's son had been proposed, and she accepted it as she really didn't have any boys catching her eyes. Her parents were a bit surprised at her sudden yes too. Though they were yet to be engaged, the boy with whom she was contracted to marry with was around 20 years old. Fugaku was his name, a normal Uchiha who cared more for the clan, and even more for the tradition that the previous elders had left. Honestly, she was glad they weren't around anymore, otherwise she would have been married and had children by now. Not that she had anything against the marriage contract, or anything, but something about today struck a chord in her. It was the way Naruto, as she remembered his name, and Kushina had talked and behaved the whole time. They just met today but acted like they had known each other for years, and Kushina did not want to leave his arms under any cost at all. He also didn't mind. He didn't show any perverse tendencies, he generally liked to be with Kushina as it seemed. Then little Byakuya called out his sister again. "Nei-san, didn't you hear what I said?" Byakuya asked innocently. His older sister merely ruffled his hair and undid his ponytail, while he got a bit angry. Well, more like flailing his arms as any child his age could do. "Why did you do that?" "Because it's fun, Toto," the young woman said, and saw that her parents entered the room. Kagami looked defeated while Mikasa had her mother mode look on her face. The daughter could only sweat drop at the behavior of her parents, but was glad that her parents were a bit more lively than most of the atypical Uchiha. "Ota-san. Oka-san. Miko-chan," Kagami cried out, seeing his daughter in their home. He immediately tried to go forward, but Mikasa stopped him. "Please don't embarrass her like that." "Makoto is an ANBU now?" Mikasa said as Kagami looked at her in defeat. "What?" He was a father and adored both of his children. Both parents were a bit sad for her, of course. Uchiha Makoto, their firstborn, was a prodigy. She had graduated at the top of her class and won both Rookie of the Year along with Kunoichi of the Year. That itself was a rare circumstance. She had also made Chunin when she was 13 at her first go after being a genin and getting experience for some time. She had graduated from the academy at the age of 10. However, the sad part was when she had joined the ANBU and then she eventually decided to get married, that too in a contractual manner no less. They really wanted their daughter to find someone she liked, but alas, fortune did not favor the seekers. "Former ANBU Oka-san," Makoto said. "Right now I'm a Chunin. I will be giving the Jounin exams after a few days. You took a break, huh? Good work, Miko-chan," Mikasa said while looking at her daughter. She really wanted to do something to cheer her daughter up. Ever since the ANBU recruitment, Makoto had been less talkative than she originally was, and the only one she ever interacted with was Kushina. That girl was perfect to get Makoto to cheer up, but Mikasa felt that her daughter needed more friends. "I am going to go and freshen up. See you at dinner," Makoto said as she walked away, and her family looked a bit sad. Always a few words with their daughter. Maybe quitting ANBU was the right decision she made. "Nei-san," Byakuya said as he watched his ever-cheerful sister walk away with a neutral expression on her face. He felt someone ruffling his hair as he turned his neck to see that his mother was tying up his longer than usual hair in his iconic ponytail. He merely smiled as his mother was doing just that. "Nei-san looks sad." "I know, Byaku-chan," Mikasa said. This time Byakuya didn't get angry. He liked it when Mikasa called him that. "But don't worry, your Nei-san will be a bit more cheerful from now on. After all, she is getting engaged." "I don't like Bakugaku," Byakuya said, and Kagami was snickering at the name his son gave to Fugaku. "He's always grumpy. Like those old men." "I know, right? I just hope Miko-chan dumps that idiot," Kagami said. Seriously, that guy was more stuck up than Danzo had a boner for power. "Oh, I almost forgot," Mikasa said as she finished on Byakuya's hair, who was glad he got his silky smooth hair back. He wasn't a girl, but he liked to keep his hair in place. "Byaku-chan, we have a guest. He'll be staying here for a few days." "A guest?" Byakuya asked curiously. "Is it someone from outside the clan?" "No. He's an Uchiha, but he just came to the village for the first time," Mikasa said while Kagami grumbled, mumbling something about lying, manipulative bastards. "I'll have to tell Miko-chan about him as well," Mikasa said, and left to go to her daughter's room. Meanwhile, Kagami came close to Byakuya and was whispering in his ear. "Byakuya, be careful of him," Kagami said with a serious look on his face. "He's already made your Oka-san scold me for something I didn't do, but Oka-san scolds you most of the time," Byakuya said with a deadpan. "No, she doesn't. It was only once or twice," Kagami said, and saw that Byakuya was shaking his head at his father's denial. "Denial is a horrible stage," Byakuya said, and Kagami looked at his son with a horrified expression. "You too, Byakuya?" Makoto's room, Uchiha Clan main household, Uchiha Clan compound, Konoha no Sato. Mikasa knocked on her daughter's door 3 times by now. She finally decided to enter as she made her announcement. "Miko-chan, I'm coming in," Mikasa said as she entered her daughter's room and found that she wasn't in it. She knocked on the door of the bathroom but got no response as well. Maybe she went to the bathhouse. It's been some time since Naruto-chan went there, so he must be in his room now. "Oh, Mikasa, you hopeful fool." Private bathhouse, Uchiha main household area, Uchiha Clan compound, Konoha no Sato. Makoto entered the bathhouse and saw that it was filled with steam as the temperature of the water was higher than usual. Taking off her shirt and her pants, Makoto stood in the bathhouse as her black brassieres were struggling to hold her D-cup breasts. Whenever she was in standard ANBU or Chunin attire, she had always used to tape her heavenly mounds down so it didn't attract unwanted perverse attention. Another fact about Makoto was that she hated perverts. Deeply hated them. Such was the reputation of one of the other ice queens of Konoha. She then looked at them and sighed. They've gotten bigger, Makoto thought as she unclasped her bra and her beautiful mounds perked up. She took off her panties as well. She then took a towel and wrapped it around her body, covering her from the chest down to below her firm and round buttocks, though some cleavage of her assets could still be seen. She entered the water, and for some reason she immediately relaxed. The water was warm, too comfortably warm, as she found herself getting lost in it all. It was never as relaxing and addicting like it was today. It had a relaxing aura as well. Makoto released a sigh of relief and once more for some reason found herself thinking about today again. Standard duties followed by a procedure to save her best friend. She knew that Kushina had well recognized her but didn't say her name, as she had insisted her red-headed friend to follow some of the procedures. Then she thought about the guy who came to the village, Uchiha Naruto. Makoto thought as the steam obscured the entire bathhouse, giving very little visibility. Then something strange happened. Bubbling noises came up from the large jacuzzi-like bath she was in. The bubbles increased even more until a figure emerged. The figure was that of the backside of a male. He had large raven hair that came down to his back, and from what she could see, the muscles on his arms were perfectly toned to perfection, as if it was sculpted by someone. He yawned without turning back and got out of the water. "I must have fell asleep," the man said as he walked out of the bath, and Makoto instantly covered the cleavage of her modest, while she blushed a furious red. She had even turned on her Sharingan. They got out, and she stared at his backside, and more specifically the thing that was dangling between his legs and was clearly hung out for her to see. "What is that? Are they supposed to be that big?" Makoto thought as she tried to close her eyes or look away but couldn't. Then the man turned around. His eyes were still closed while he yawned and picked up a towel that was lying on the edge. He used the towel not to dry himself but rather tied it around his waist to cover his manhood, but the end of it was still sticking out. "It's him," Makoto thought as the red on her face was not going away anytime soon. What happened was, Naruto used his Katan affinity to increase the steam of the water and then even laced the entire body of water with his chakra, making the bath that more relaxing. So much that he himself fell asleep and was lying in the water until some of it entered through his nose, and he got up, not reacting too badly because he was far too relaxed. The chakra-induced bath was relaxing and intoxicating. He stretched while his eyelids were still closed. Makoto got a very good look at his frontal body while not making a single noise. Naruto was blissfully unaware of the other person in the room. His body was lean and highly athletic. Perfectly defined muscles drawn on his frame. He had broad defined shoulders, and his pectorals, despite being smaller than those atypical of generic rakiage, looked hard and firm. His was a powerful V-cut figure that many men only wanted to achieve. Perfect serratus anterior muscles could be seen on either side of his torso. They added a perfectionist look in conjunction with his perfectly developed and defined six-pack abs. Makoto knew that he had worked hard for years to get muscles like those. She also looked at his legs, as the powerful leg muscles on his body were seen as well. They too were defined to the point of perfection without looking like a steroid freak show. The most unique thing she noticed were the various tattoos on his body. There were arrays and lines of tattoos covering his arms. Circles, straight lines, chain structured like ones. His main torso body had lines upon lines of tattoos that were looking like as if they were trying to bind him down. And then Makoto realized they were Fuinjutsu seals placed all over his body, probably gravity seals. That explains all those muscles, Makoto thought as she curious watched him making the tiger hand seal with both arms and saw chakra developing up in him. His body started to heat up as all the water molecules evaporated off him, making his hair move up and looked more untamed than before. He was literally smoking hot. Makoto for her part now had a complexion on her face that matched Kushina's hair as she watched him do all that. The man had used his katan to dry himself off. Then she blushed even more as he took off his only article of clothing and was wearing the yukata. But he kept his front a bit open and his powerful pecs could be seen. Naruto finally opened his eyes, and thankfully he had turned around by then and was walking towards the door. His eyes noticed an extra pair of sandals and looked at it curiously. He molded chakra and picked up a signature behind him. He slowly turned around, and through the valley of the mist he saw a raven-haired beauty in the bath as she had a large blush on her face. Naruto for his part stared at the woman and was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. But her beautiful face and jet black hair were preventing him from doing so. So he did the only thing he could do to avoid this situation and not incur the wrath of the beautiful woman who no doubt had seen every inch of his body while he had sleepily gotten out of the water. This never happened, Naruto said as he didn't look directly at her, knowing full well she was probably blushing up a storm and he didn't want to peek at her yet. He turned around and opened the door. But instincts kicked in and he had to open his mouth. No way was he going to out without a final bang. So did you enjoy the view? A wooden bucket of water had immediately crashed onto his once more turned face as he flew back. Worth it, Naruto thought. Man, did he love messing with people. Dining room, Uchiha Clan main household. The atmosphere was quiet, too quiet. 5 people were sitting at the table as they enjoyed the dinner. Uchiha Naruto had a red mark on his face that had an awkward shape. Mikasa was curiously looking at their guest. What happened, Naru-chan? Mikasa asked as Naruto looked at her and smiled. I fell on a bucket, Naruto said as Kagami laughed at his misery while Naruto's eyebrow twitched at him. How'd you do that, genius? Kagami asked. I slipped, and I fell on it. Naruto said. He then smirked. At least I didn't fall on my leg. Oh no you didn't, Kagami said as he got up. That's a no food for Kagami-kun. What did I say about yelling at the table? Mikasa said and Kagami piped down. Byakuya sighed at their antics and looked at Naruto with an inquisitive stare. He saw that his sister was blushing and avoiding eye contact with Naruto. She did steal a few glances at him and even Naruto was trying to avoid her line of sight. Of course both parents also picked up on this. Kagami was letting his fatherly instincts come out, making sure he would kick any boy's ass who even thought about looking at his daughter. Mikasa on the other hand was concocting ideas in her head. He is strong. Plus he seems to be more well-behaved than Fugaku. Mikasa thought as she ate her food. Byakuya spoke up. Naruto-san. Are you really Uchiha Madara's grandson? Byakuya asked as his parents told him while Makoto was not around. Yeah. And call me Naruto. That whole san makes me feel old. Naruto said as he had a funny look on his face. You're weird. Byakuya said offhandedly and Kagami was giving a thumbs up. TCH. At least I'm not half the size of an ant. Naruto said and Byakuya looked at Naruto with a twitching eyebrow. Naruto-san please don't tease my brother like that. Makoto said as she tried not to blush while remembering the incident that happened. Naruto looked at her inquisitively, and put a hand on his chin. Now she was beginning to blush. What are you doing, ha? Naruto said as he pointed a finger at Makoto. Nico-chan. No wonder your chakra felt familiar, so you're a censor. Useful technique. Makoto said. Really? Naruto asked with a deadpan. Of all the things that's all you have to say. Not something like how are you, or do you have some calligraphy paper? Calligraphy paper? Byakuya asked. Why would Nei-san ask you that? Probably Fuinjutsu. He's good at it. Makoto said and Mikasa picked up on this. Miko-chan how do you know that? Mikasa asked as Makoto choked on her food as she remembered seeing him naked and the seals all over his body. Just an assumption. Makoto said with a slight blush on her face, that her parents did notice. When he came into the village he didn't have any bags, so I assumed he had sealing scrolls with him or seals on his body. What about my body now? Naruto asked with a teasing grin. And now Makoto reddened up and silently ate her dinner. The other three were shocked. Did Miko-chan / Nei-san blush? The other three collectively thought. Nighttime, outside main household, Uchiha Clan compound, Konogakure no Sato. Naruto stood outside and took in the scent of the grassy area around him. He didn't expect the Uchiha family to be so warm. Kagami was fun to be around and mess with. Mikasa was the strict mother figure and Byakuya was the annoying little midget that was always around. He felt warm inside. Hopefully, he could also help in the unmassacre of the Uchiha clan. Itachi deserved that much of his abilities. Maybe he could stop it from happening altogether, and change the horrible incident that set Sasuke on his path of revenge. Or at the very least, make sure not everyone dies. He stood outside and was starting to feel sleepy once more. The bath had quite the effect on him. Then the thoughts went over to Makoto. She seemed so familiar to him, too familiar in fact. He felt her chakra watching her, and he decided to call her out. You can come out now, Naruto said. Makoto walked out with a neutral expression on her face. So were you spying on me? No, Makoto said in a composed manner. How did you fall asleep in the bath anyway? Yeah, my bad. I leaked my chakra into the water to make it more relaxing along with some katon. It was good, wasn't it? Naruto asked with a smile as Makoto knew he wasn't saying anything remotely perverse right now, or she assumed he didn't. That explains it all, Makoto said. So you have a natural high affinity for fire? Yup, Naruto replied as he looked up at the star-filled sky. My fire, wind, lightning and water affinities are very high. My earth style is ma-okay. He said it as if he was choosing what to eat at a dango shop. 5 affinities? Makoto asked in surprise as Naruto nodded and laughed sheepishly. You must be really strong. Then again you are Madara's grandson. That has nothing to do with my strength, Naruto said and Makoto looked in surprise. Sorry. It's just I don't like people always comparing me to him. He always did it, saying that he was much stronger when he was my age. Stupid old goat. I am going to be honest with you, I wasn't that strong from the beginning. I had to work my way up hard. Really? I thought you were naturally strong with the way you use katon to dry your body, Makoto said and looked away. He was surely going to tease her now. Actually, fire was my weakest element, if you can believe that, Naruto said and Makoto stared at him. I'm serious. My major affinity was always wind and I had a natural knack for fuinjutsu which Aji-san hated. He said it was very un-Uchiha-like of me to be more into seals rather than genjutsu, Naruto said as he remembered seeing some of the fragments of another self in the gap. That's true, Makoto said as she looked at the enigma before her. So you want to be someone of your own name, and not just Madara's grandson. Damn right. Besides, I'm naturally awesome. The old goat doesn't even compare to me, Naruto said and Makoto had to sweat drop at his behavior. 1 minute he was giving his mature belief of being someone who didn't let his powerful ancestry get to his head, and then say something so childish the next. She didn't notice, but her lips had twitched a bit upwards at this. Really? And how will you outshine the old goat? Surpassing Uchiha Madara is not easy, Makoto said as she saw his onyx-colored eyes beam up at her challenging question. With my hard work, of course. Besides, I made a jutsu that far surpasses some of his. Do you want to see it? Naruto asked zealously. Makoto was a bit worried. Won't it be destructive? Makoto asked, obviously a little concerned about her house. Don't worry, nothing will get harmed, Makoto-chan, Naruto said while adding the suffix to her name. Okay then. Makoto grumbled out. It was weird for her other than her parents and Kushina to add that suffix to her name. On top of that, it was a guy. A very handsome guy, with a body too defined. Naruto grinned at her answer and held out his right hand facing upwards as a swirling noise began to take place and Makoto's eyes were fixed on it. She stared at his open palm as small wisps of azure blue chakra began to form and rotated at a constant flow, and then got bigger as a rotating mass of chakra took the shape of an orb and was freely suspended over his palm. What is that? Makoto asked in wonder as she tried to touch it, but Naruto moved his hand away and she narrowed her eyes at him. This is the Rasengan/spiraling sphere, Naruto said as the A-ranked jutsu was still spinning in his hand. It's a jutsu I made up when I was 12. Even the old goat was impressed at it, saying it was the peak of shape manipulation. The reason I didn't let you touch it is because it's always violently rotating at high speeds, so your hand could have been broken outright. Naruto finished and Makoto was a bit shocked. So elemental affinities can be added to it to make it even stronger? Makoto asked, and Naruto looked at her and nodded. It's really beautiful though. I would have preferred it to be called badass, but beautiful works. Just like you, na? Naruto said with a smile, and Makoto had pink on her face again as she looked away. Besides, it's my signature jutsu. It has to look good. Every jutsu has a weakness, no matter how strong or devastating it looks, Makoto said, and Naruto stuck his tongue out at her. Her eyebrow twitched. Naruto then got down and observed the grass. It was kind of dry, probably because of the weather. Well, good night I suppose, and what are you doing? Makoto asked. The grass is dry. Let me take care of it. You may want to step back a bit, Makoto-chan. I'm about to do up the grass, Naruto said. Makoto did move, but not that much, as she wanted to see what he was going to do. Naruto did the bird hand seal and used the jutsu he had practiced out in Ta no Kuni. The addition of Hashirama's perfect cell bonding had increased his water affinity to the point he could pull the moisture from the very air after a lot of hard work. Suetun. Swatiki no Shutsujin/water style. Emergence of water droplets, Naruto said as several small specks of water appeared around the grassy backyard and fell like rain on the grass and Naruto himself, but he didn't get that wet. It was more for the grass. Makoto was surprised at the way he had done it. He did the same thing the Nidaime Hokage was famous for. He then walked up into the house along with Makoto, who was more astonished by his skills. Good night, Naruto-san, Makoto said and was going to leave, but Naruto stopped her with his words. Mao, Naruto whined out as she turned around. Please don't call me that, Makoto-chan. Call me Naruto, that will work. No, you are a guest. I will give you the proper respect, Makoto said, and Naruto then looked at her with a comical furious look. If that's the case, then I will give you the proper respect too, my Megumi/goddess, Naruto said, and this time Makoto couldn't control her blush. He had just called her a goddess. What? Why did you call me that? Makoto said. Naruto then put a hand on his chin and spoke. Well, your name is Makoto. No doubt named after Izanami no Makoto, the goddess. So it's only fair I call you my goddess, Naruto said as he tried to tease her and saw the blush on her face once more. She looked way too beautiful with those pink shades on her face. Seriously, why couldn't the girls from my age be that beautiful? Don't call me that again, you, Makoto said. Me? Yara Megumi-chan, I didn't know you were that easy to tease, Naruto said as Makoto said. Fine, Naruto. Please don't call me that again, Makoto said as she really didn't know how she felt about this. Today was the first day a guy called her beautiful, and on top of that he was calling her a goddess. She was a serious kunoichi and had no fangirl tendency, but his words were uplifting and made her heart flutter lightly for some reason. Even Fugaku never called her beautiful. On a side note, please call him and ask everyone. No promises, Naruto said. Fine. Good night, Naruto, Makoto said and was going away. But she heard him alright even though he said it lightly. Good night, Megami-chan, Naruto said as he saw Makoto quicken up her pace and left in a hurry. Naruto walked away to his room, not noticing that a certain raven-haired woman had heard their last interaction. Makoto's room. Uchiha Makoto lay in her bed as she was wearing her nothing but a sleeveless shirt and full-length pants as she tried to sleep. Needless to say, she was failing. Beautiful works. Just like you. So it's only fair I call you my goddess. Good night, Megumi-chan, Makoto grumbled and buried her head into the pillow, trying to stop thinking about Uchiha Naruto. Baka. Same time, Kushina's room, Senju Clan compound. Kushina had gotten word from Senju Kiku that the Hokage had allowed Naruto to stay in the village and was over at the Uchiha Clan compound. Naturally, she was so happy and giddy about it that she jumped up and down, completely ignoring the fact that her leg had been fixed up by her tenant. She didn't know why, but Naruto had been the subject of her thoughts ever since he saved her. It definitely wasn't rescue remorse. No, Kushina had a strange magnetic pull towards that words could not describe. She would rest up and meet with her savior/friend tomorrow. He called her Beneheim-chan as well and made her feel giddy inside. Most of all, he didn't complain once to her or anything, except for the part where she was on the verge of leaving a mark. Unless he does something foolish like he nearly did with the ANBU. Baka. Kushina said as she had a smile on her face. Same time, Naruto's room. Uchiha Clan compound, Konoha no Sato. Achoo. Naruto sneezed in his bed as he lied shirtless in it. Someone was talking shit about him. He didn't mind. But now he was finally back home, only in a different house. Now no one was glaring at him, or throwing themselves at his feet. Things were normal for him and he loved every moment of it, except the fangirls. His thoughts went over to the people he met. More specifically 2 people. Kushina. He wouldn't deny it. He felt a strong sense of duty and love towards her. Maybe it was probably because all of Minato's memories were ingrained into him, and he was no longer her son. He didn't feel like that for a woman ever. Then Makoto. While he could say that he felt stronger feelings towards Kushina, there was something about Makoto that was much more exciting to him. Maybe it was his Uchiha genes. Regardless, Naruto was curious what would happen next. I'll have to visit Kushina-chan tomorrow. I may even get to know Makoto-chan better. Funny, how she said the same thing Itachi said about every jutsu having a weakness. She kind of looks like him too. Just without the whole tear troughs. Naruto thought. And her hair is like Sasuke's only with no duck but sticking out. Yes, she looks a bit like them. A lot like them. Like she's there. Realization dawns in 3, 2 and 1. Oh no, Sasuke's mom, Itachi's mom, she's really beautiful. What if Naruto fused with Madara power? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.